public, 44-year-old Justin Tidwell was discovered at a Budget Inn last weekend. The Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences performed an autopsy and identified the body. The cause of death is yet to be determined. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 special. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. We got a full cast of characters in here today as well. Eddie's here. How you doing, Eddie?
Doing good. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm all right. Running a little behind today, I have to admit. Craig Monger is here. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing great. My future's super bright. That's why we all have these glasses on.
Say that again.
I said our futures are super bright. That's why.
Right. That's what people say. I mean, are we good on this Good Friday?
Oh, sure.
I think I'm good. And so you already bought one, right? Let's get our Trump Bible out, and we're going to get 3.
I was hoping I get a discount. Did you actually get the? I got my friend when I talked to him about it, kind of jokingly. He said very seriously. He is honored. Who am I to say no now? Tell him Wagwan.
Wait, you're actually getting them?
Yeah.
See, we put out a short clip, and people have lost their minds about the Trump Bible. Like, this man's a grifter.
Yeah. Am I missing something, Craig? Is it a bad thing? I mean, it's a strange thing. I would not personally get one because I don't personally take him seriously in that as a Christian, and I hate to say that, but I just don't. Yeah. Like, I mean, whenever he was asked what his favorite Bible verse was, he kind of, I mean, it seems like his ascension to Christian values has always been a bit pandering to me.
Yeah, by convenience.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, but the people complaining that they're selling a Bible, it's like that's
the part I don't quite get. It's a Bible. At the end of the day, it's a Bible.
Yeah. By the way, I haven't actually looked that much into it. Is there anything unique about it, or is it just
It's a leather binding and cover with an American flag kind of etched on the bottom.
Oh, I despise that.
Okay.
Like, if you attach an American flag to a Bible, I loathe that.
And it comes with the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence contained in there, and handwritten lyrics of "God Bless America" by Lee Greenwood himself.
So there's a bit pandering.
All for $60.
Is it leather or sheepskin? I prefer sheepskin with my.
Gotta be honest, I think it's pleather, but they advertise.
Yeah. Okay, see, that's the worst thing of all.
That's what I'm really worried is going to be pleather.
It's either sheepskin or nothing for the kid.
Yeah,
I have a blue dyed sheepskin Bible that I'm very much fond of, but I typically do all of my reading on an iPad anyway because I like to when you have like Accordance Bible software, you can have the Greek text to the right and then
that's cool.
and then the English text to the left, and you can make comparisons. It's really easy for learning. But I do like the sheepskin, the feel of it. It's just
Gotcha.
a nice leather Bible. Well, I mean sheepskin.
Yeah, the sheep or lambskin or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Yeah, like that's the inside of my boots. That's how manly I am, Eddie.
And
Yeah,
by the way,
we'll go
I did not realize how
Fairy wear
expensive some people can get with the boots. It's insane.
Dude,
Yeah.
It's nuts. Like I have a buddy, he's a terrific electrician, but he has these boots and it has like silver on the tip of them.
And they're like proper cowboy boots?
Yeah,
or?
yeah,
Okay.
proper cowboy boots, and they are stylish. But I couldn't justify spending that amount of money on a nice pair of boots.
Yeah, like, I mean, these I got on my feet weren't cheap, but still like under 500, right?
And that's not bad for lift shoes.
I don't know what to do with you today. Like this guy sitting at the kitchenette tables, like, I have a tolerance for pain. And then
were talking
as
about
he's
something,
putting
so
up
I
the
have a-
little curtain up there, he's like, oh no, a staple. Owie.
it's-
Ouch. Owie, a staple hit my
It
finger.
did. It hooked
Owie.
right through. Sure did. Where I had previously had a splinter.
But
Found
it's
that
just
same
funny because you're like, I have a tolerance
I
for
have
pain.
a strange tolerance for pain.
With the finger, I tell you the worst pain that I've experienced that wasn't serious was in my former years using needles every once in a while. One of the needles got bent, and then when you go to put the cap back on,
Ooh.
if it's bent, it can sometimes go through the cap,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had my thumb in it and it went straight through.
Oh.
And that was a shock and a half.
That's how the conversation got started. Like I was first cut of the year, the lawn, and it's just one of those push mowers with the latch that you push. And I thought I had it all together. I didn't know my thumb got caught between two of them, and if I hadn't, I would almost ripped my freaking thumbnail off.
Can't you tell by that little blue thing he's got there?
Is it a blood blister? on
Yeah,
the
at this
nail?
point, yeah.
those are fun.
Yeah, and it's actually it could have been a lot worse,
Oh, it
but
could
I
have
was
been,
it got me thinking about injuries that aren't really life threatening, but hurt more than anything else.
What is the most painful physical thing you've ever experienced?
Ooh, that's tough to know because you've tried to forget pain.
I live there.
No, it might be the scar I have on my middle finger here. I got that when I was 5, apple slicer.
Ooh.
Like, and so that was when it happened. It wasn't painful because you're just in so much shock with adrenaline.
Yeah.
But when they had to do the local anesthetic, yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, the anesthetic often hurts worse than the wound
Right.
itself. But
Right.
what about you, Eddie?
I don't know of any particular one, but I'm like you. I live in a world of pain. I grew up on motorcycles, so
Have you ever broken a bone? See, I've never
I
broken a
think
bone.
I've broken most.
Oh, really?
Most bones, yeah. Arms, legs, fingers, hands, wrists, tendons, gone.
I've never broken a significant limb, just like toes and my nose and stuff like that.
Strangest thing was
That's why the nose is like super bendy.
I got one of them. Strangest thing was a friend of mine, Charlie Shaddix. We were playing on the tire swing, and you know how you'd wind it up and
Yeah,
come undone?
sure.
Well, we were doing that, because we're dumb, and then he pushed me, and so I was swinging, and I went into a tree, and that was the first time I ever got knocked unconscious.
Ooh.
And I remember literally standing there, and it looked like 50,000 people were coming to me. It was just 2 people there.
Now I've been hit really hard. Like I've been knocked unconscious once, and it was our coach was playing with us on the basketball court, and this guy's no joke. Jr. knows who he is. Jr. was a star quarterback at ASU. He was still an athlete when he was
Yeah.
coaching us, and we were both going for a errant pass in the middle of the court. And I think at that time I weighed like $140
Yeah.
something, and JR was definitely over 200. And like when we collided, the next thing I remember is like everybody looking at me,
Yeah, look
down
that.
at me, and he's like, JR to his crest, "You okay, man? I'm so sorry." And like, what a great guy. But there are some hits in football where when you get hit, it's a shock, doesn't hurt. And I remember getting up from one. It was kind of a crackback block when I'm a scrub linebacker. And I couldn't talk.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, "No, I'm fine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fine, guys. It's just a kidney
Give me a
first.
second.
Like,
Give me a second.
I got another one."
It's a terrifying when you get the wind knocked out of you, like, and you're like, "Hey, is it ever gonna come back?
Yeah.
Any day now."
What's the most painful thing you've been through?
Oh, well, that's an easy answer for me. It's when I broke my toe. We were playing this like massive tag in the middle of winter in Michigan in a church. So it was pretty cold, and I was running full speed down the hallway of the sanctuary, and I kicked a wooden pew while I was running and broke my toe.
Did that toe leave like out of the back of your foot?
No, but it swelled up to about the size of my head, and it was one of those things where you're like, all right, I'm gonna have a psychological breakdown because of the amount of pain that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
It's always the extremities. It's like
Yeah.
the fingernails and the fingers and your toes and
Yeah, I mean,
other things.
I've been cut pretty significantly before, and that's not too bad.
Right.
But like the fingers and the toes, for some reason, they kill. I've never broken like an arm. Even when I actually broke my nose twice. One was from my uncle when I was like 7. We were playing dodgeball, and he turned around, and I was right behind him, and John Jones to me right in the nose. And this was when I was actually in like a private school, and so I was in school for like a week, breathing like. The teacher's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like,
Deviated
"No, I'm
septum.
not."
Right.
Like, we know what you did in China. We know what you did. No, that's not that. I swear it's not that. But yeah, if you can tell, folks, it's Friday, and like I looked at the news today, and it's like, yeah, more of the same BS. Actually, the most painful thing I think I do ever been through is when I wake up in the morning and I read the news.
If you go through Twitter first thing in the morning, you're just setting yourself up for a bad day.
But I found this story, and this goes back years now, but a recent CNN headline reads this. It's about a bus carrying some folks in South Africa. It killed 45 people because it fell off a cliff. So if a bus goes off a cliff, you probably are going to die. But they referred to the people in the bus. I'll just read the headline now. 45 people killed as a bus carrying Easter worshipers falls off a cliff in South Africa. 12 years of Catholic school, I've never heard of Easter worshipers. I've hung around other Christians and denominations. I've never heard Easter worshipers.
Is that worshipers of the goddess Easter, or
I don't know where that comes from. And
were they
apparently,
just doing like some sort of special like Good Friday service? I don't know.
well, the term was previously used in 2019 with Islamic extremist murders, dozens of Christians during Easter celebrations in Sri Lanka. That time, former President Barack Obama also used the term Easter worshippers in response to that attack. The attacks on tourists and Easter worshippers in Sri Lanka are an attack on humanity. Then Hillary Clinton came out and said essentially the same exact thing. I'm like, is this the new term to avoid saying Christian?
I guess so.
I guess. Although there are plenty of Christians that only go to church on like Christmas and Easter. So.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about that.
Bad Catholic.
No, it was, for me, it was more like, well, my mom wants to go, and it's like, sure, I'll go with you. I get pulled in by family. It's like, well, I really do love you, so do what you want. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm still that little kid, I suppose. But yeah, that one caught me off guard where I'm not even upset. I'm just confused. Are we just coming up with new terms for Christians all of a sudden as we continue to redefine that? Now, inflation has ticked up in February. In the gauge preferred by the Federal Reserve, I believe that's core inflation. But, you know, what a shock. Inflation ticked up a 2.5% annual rate on February as measured by the gauge favored by the Federal Reserve, rising 0.1 of a percentage point from the previous reading. The uptick in the personal consumption expenditures price index reported Friday morning by the Bureau of Economic Analysis is unwelcome news for the president and for the Federal Reserve. And, you know, all these folks are hoping for rate cuts later in the year, so it'll all go gangbusters. But one thing that's fascinating, who would have thunk that a simple manipulated statistic, the CPI, could affect so much? People need to pay more attention to it because it's not just something people put in news articles and headlines. If you're on Social Security, if you're on any sort of benefits, your cost of living increases, if they're ever allowed, are all based off the CPI. What the government's going to do in terms of policy is all based off the CPI. And wouldn't you know it, they constantly are manipulating the CPI so the government gets to be cheap while they steal from everybody else through inflation.
No, you don't mean it.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I find myself, am I wrong whether I bring in the senators again? Like I've talked to both Britt and Tuberville recently. I'm sure we're going to have Dick Brubaker and Caroline Dobson on next week. We talked to Reed Ingram this week, Will Barfoot this week. I'm tempted to, especially though, ask the federal people, like, how is the U.S. government still considered legitimate on a moral and constitutional basis?
That's
You work for them.
a good question.
Because I don't see it. I don't see where in the Constitution do they allow the federal? Oh, well, they did amend it, I suppose, to allow for the Federal Reserve.
That I don't.
Right. And so I'm at a point where we can talk about the issues people care about. It's funny how the number one issues people care about are what the cable news networks continue to blast out every day.
Mm-hmm.
The right cares about immigration, the left cares about preserving our democracy. It's almost like we don't actually think.
No, I mean it's a bit of a switcheroo too. It's like, oh, you have to, and the right does it as well as the left, where they say, hey, look at this issue, while under the table they are continuing to spend money like a sailor new at port, and meanwhile just continue to overinflate not just our currency, but our institutions as well. Everything grows, nothing shrinks. This isn't a deflationary system that we have, because, I mean, the amount of debt that we have is almost comical at this point, and it still doesn't seem to have crashed anything yet. So they're like, how far can we push it? Come on, let's keep going. More debt, more spending, more everything.
And that's why I think the United States needs its very own Javier Milei. Did you see that he plans now to fire 70,000 government workers in the coming months?
I'll say that again.
70,000 government workers. In what
Right.
Bloomberg called, quote, one of the clearest signs yet of how the libertarians' chainsaw-style approach, ooh, I need to take a cold shower, intends to slash the swollen. Indeed. State. Beyond the job cuts, Milei also boasted at an event on Tuesday that he has frozen public works, cut off some funding to provincial governments, and terminated more than 200,000 social welfare plans, which he labeled as corrupt, all as part of his strategy to reach a fiscal balance at any cost this year. There's a lot of blender, Milei said in an hour-long speech, referring to the erosion of wages and pensions by 276% annual inflation. Holy moly, he says there's a lot more chainsaw. Other key points from his speech. Milei said peso futures contracts are aligned with the central bank's 2% monthly crawling peg scheme. I mean, yeah, and nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about that. But what I love is that Milei has actually not become a squish
Yeah.
once he's actually gotten into office and into power.
Yeah.
And he's fighting back despite others
Got to be honest.
pushing
though.
back.
Surprised he's still there.
Yeah, and he seems to be doing it in a very tactical way. It's not. It's gradual, and I mean, obviously, it wasn't his first day in office like old Vivek promised, but he's getting stuff done, and it's amazing to see this resurgence of social and moral responsibility in South America. I think.
Yeah.
I think they've had it so bad for so long that they're finally calling on leaders to actually get stuff done. Now, obviously, Malay's dealing with completely different
Yeah.
things than homeboy in El Salvador, whose name I can never remember.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, thank you. And they're obviously facing different problems, but South America has been a disaster zone for the longest time, and I think they're also seeing the attempts of communist influence in South America, which is pretty prevalent, especially from the Chinese Communist Party and even Russia. And I don't think they're trying to get ahead of that, get ahead of the curve, because there are literally places in South America that are literally just money laundering schemes for the Chinese Communist Party.
Well, and then Milei did go on to say when the Argentinian Senate rejected his emergency decree, he called it marvelous because it left all the dirty fingers of exposed politicians he calls delinquents apparent all. All right.
He
Keep
really
talking
does have
that
the
way.
gift of gab, doesn't he?
And yeah, he's like a hardcore punk rock,
Very hardcore.
like economist. Like it's a weird combination, and like essentially an anarchist libertarian to boot. So I love the guy.
And the best thing about him is he's legitimately pissed off. Like
Yes.
it's not an act.
Right.
It's
Right.
not like an Alex Jones kind of rage acting from time to time.
I love the pain.
But he's legitimately angry, and he was legitimately angry, and that's what motivated
yeah.
him to run. And the fact that he won is still incredible to me.
Let's go to East of the Rockies. Hey, East. Good to hear from you. Happy Easter.
Hey, how you doing? It's good to hear from all you guys. Hey, look, I don't know if you remember, there was this guy that used to be on the radio named Rush Limbaugh,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to say this. He'd say, "Words mean things," and I really took that to heart, because how we communicate makes a big difference. So, in the book of Acts, the New Testament records that believers in Jesus were first called Christians in Antioch in Syria. Okay? And so Christians was a derogatory by the Roman authorities, saying, well, these guys are just walking around trying to act like little Jesuses. So that's what Christian effectively meant, was little Christ. And you know what? I'll take it. I mean, if you want to call me that, but don't change the name of my faith to Easter worshipers. Like I'm caught in a back room with chocolate smeared all over my face. I just if I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, and I want to own that. But words mean things, and so I appreciate you guys bringing that up.
Sure. And it is just strange. Like, I guess it is a way to say something without saying it. Because if Christians maybe had solidarity across the globe, I was talking with somebody last night saying that I think a unity of all Christians worldwide is possible. It wouldn't be under like a hierarchy where we got a new pope or something. And I think there's already been work done, ecumenical work on, okay, what are the basic things we agree on? And then I would say, what are some practical projects we can work on? It's why places like you saw with these Mountain Gateway pastors arrested in Nicaragua, now sentenced to like 2 decades in prison, $80 million fine. Yeah, Christianity, for better or for worse, is a very big threat to a lot of established authorities. So it's beautiful to see it growing in China. I think the largest is in South Korea right now. I think that is one of the largest Christian populations.
I would probably think China, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, and so can you imagine, look at the politics and look how crazy where it's going, that you could have essentially billions of people across nation lines having something in common with one another. And I think that's a change for good.
But Joey, you're right, and it's not going to be administrative.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you're talking to a guy that enjoys a lot of that. I get together with people from all kinds of different denominations, and it's not that I'm down with all of the little idiosyncrasies and the foibles that they have, but I just simply love them because they love Christ, and that's So yeah, words mean things, and you guys are on target. So have a great Easter, if you want to call it that, and we'll catch up with you in April. How's that sound?
Appreciate it. And we got to hit a break. More news and views in the afternoon. I got to take these sunglasses off. Driving me nuts. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hey, this is Randy and Tammy Burkhalter at Prattville Farm Center.
Hey, Randy, tell me about those hot chicks I've been hearing about.
Now, Tammy, I don't know any since we got married.
No, Randy, the baby chick.
Oh, yeah, we're getting Rhode Island Reds, Americanas, Buff Orpingtons, and about 6 other different varieties.
Plus ducks, turkeys, geese, and guineas.
Hey, and raising chickens is a great family project.
And you get to look forward to fresh eggs.
Visit Prattville Farm Center at 1154 South Memorial Drive and pick up your hot chicks today.
In Alabama, more than 200,000 of our family members and friends are living without health coverage. Often folks can't stay healthy enough to keep their jobs. We need to fix this. It's time for us to find a way to close the health care coverage gap so that folks can remain in their jobs. Where there's a priority out there, we as Alabamians have always found a way to achieve it. Contact Governor Kay Ivey and let her know. Now is the time to close the coverage gap and cover Alabama.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-457-6060. That's 1-800-457-6060.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, a fascinating poll. I've gotten to where I like looking at certain polls, especially ones that aren't conditioned by the polls, that aren't just about Trump and Biden and the presidential election, but more of these general surveys that you see out there in the world. And there's a new one from YouGov. A new YouGov poll revealed that 22% of Americans believe it is very likely that there will be another world war within the next 5 to 10 years. 39% say it's somewhat likely. Wow. That's a pretty strong majority there, thinking, well, it could happen. Broken down politically, 1/3 of Republicans believe it's very likely that there will be another world war in the next decade. 20% of independents and 16% of Democrats agree with that statement. Why did the Democrats, are they this blind to how crumbling our institutions have become?
Yes. Oh, 100%. Without question.
Like, it's not Trump, guys. Like, Trump is the symptom of the underlying problem, fellas.
He's the devil.
Yeah, look at what he's doing to the Bible. Right.
See, people are feeling that way.
Seriously. I haven't gotten that much online reaction in a while. It was interesting to watch.
Really?
Yeah, there are a lot of folks upset. Others like, I can't wait to buy it. Like, it's interesting how he gets people going. But despite the United States and its NATO allies depleting their military supplies at breakneck pace in a proxy war against Russia and Ukraine, and Moscow displaying fearsome offensive powers, watch out for the summer. Americans still remain optimistic over any hypothetical war against Russia and China. If there were a world war in which the U.S. and their allies were fighting against Russia, China, or both, Americans are more likely to say that the NATO member states would win than to say they would lose. So we still believe in our military prowess.
We have to.
However, the patriotic optimism quickly fades in the hypothetical scenario that pits both China and Russia and their allies against Western nations and their allies in a world war. Just 45% of Americans say the Western nations would emerge victorious, while 55% are of the opinion that a coalition made up of Moscow, Beijing, and their allies would win. In a similar YouGov survey conducted in the UK, just 21% of British adults believe that Western forces would lose to China, Russia, and their allies in the event of a world war. Shockingly, if a global conflagration involving the United States were to break out, just 6% of Americans say they would enlist for military service, while 9% say they would not volunteer but would serve if called, and 13% say they would not volunteer and would refuse to serve if called. Meanwhile, a whopping 60% say the armed forces would not attempt to draft them due to age or disability. But that first number, 6% of Americans say they would enlist for military service in the event of world war.
Wow.
This is what I mean by crumbling institutions. It's not just buildings or, the ones
a lot of them are
think
looking at the military, and whereas my generation looked at the military as an option and a chance to serve, I think now they look at the military and say, I don't want no part of that.
Yep.
Well, and you look at some people, you're like, can you run a remote control? Like, I guess, yeah. Well, if you're creating the next generation's military, a lot of it might be drone technology. So that guy who has been playing video games into his 40s might still be useful.
Sure, but
behind a controller.
Get that guy off the couch to come to basic training.
Right. But you got to wonder what is going to be because like in World War II, Americans, like the hobby for young American men was essentially doing work on cars.
Yeah.
Like everybody was sort of a minor mechanic.
Right.
So with the Abrams tanks, they're very modular, easy to work on.
Yep.
And so in theater, they were coming up with all sorts of new inventions. The actual troops were able to fix them up if anything broke down. So if you take, there's still a car culture in the United States, but there's a huge video gaming culture.
Yeah.
So how could you make that work for the military? But the more I think about the prospect of World War, I'm like, how do you keep the nuclear bottle, stopped up? And
you can't. There's not going to be an ultimate victory, even if there was such a conflict. It's impossible to have an ultimate victory the way that there was, say, in World War II, because now everyone has that technology.
Right, and
it's either total global destruction or some sort of stalemate. Those are the only two options.
And either we don't use them, or we're probably going towards Armageddon. The idea that somebody's going to use a nuke and then that's going to be it, I don't see it. I think most of the war games lead to mass destruction. Once
one goes off, it's game over. And unless it can be done I guess I would say there have to be either one side would have to strategically detonate multiple such devices at strategic locations in order to neutralize the threat of reprisal. If that could be done, then you would be successful. One side would be successful, but I don't see that happening. It's game over.
Well, and some have suggested let's do an above ground test again, film it with our modern tech, and just show folks this is what we have.
Yeah, give them the reminder.
Because you can still go watch the one that always catches me off guard is the Bikini Atoll test.
Yes.
But when you see a mushroom cloud, folks, that stem is like a vacuum.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. It's like it is sucking everything up to where it's buildings, people, everything. Then its path is going up into the cloud. So it's just horrifying. And I feel like the cavalier nature at which it seems our political authorities are playing with fire here is what makes me incredibly nervous.
Yeah, but I think I don't care what sort of maniac you are, that's not an option you want to pull out, which is why it hasn't happened since World War II. It's happened, it was one and done, well technically two and done, but you know what I mean, that was it, and we haven't done it since. And I don't see that as being our future, because I think there's too many people that I don't see that happening.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I don't see some sort of cold to warm world war happening, but I don't see like a full scale third world war open conflict between nations. Like that's a little bit much for me because that would go against everything that China and Russia have been trying to do for the past several decades, which is to grow economically.
Right.
And they don't want that.
It all it takes is a mistake, though.
Yeah.
One mistake.
Or a false flag.
Right. Exactly. Let's go to T-Spear. Hey, T-Spear.
Hey there, and I'm going to talk to it from a mother's perspective. First of all, years ago, in spite of who was president at the time, I was honored to have my 16-year-old son say, "Mom, I'm going in the Marines." And I signed his papers when he was barely 17 years old, so that he could go in. It's what he wanted, and it was what, as Marines understand only too well, Mom, it's not what I want to do, it's what I have to do. There are kids that are called to that's what they have to do. But when I look at war today and the scenario of today, there's no way in hell I would have signed those papers.
Mm-hmm.
No way that I would sign those papers for my child today. When I look at the situation, and it's not just the situation with an absolute idiot in the White House being manipulated by somebody in the background, it is the fact that we're not paying attention to what's going on. we're not allowing our young men and women to go out, do the job that they volunteered to do, and do it successfully. We're not giving them the materials that they need to finish the job. We're not giving them the skills that they need to learn how to resolve something peacefully. You don't take Taekwondo to learn how to beat the snot out of somebody.
Right.
You take it to learn how not to have to do that. But when you do, to do it effectively. And this current administration, above all others, has taken the right of our military and our police officers and our other defense forces away from us to be able to do the job that we train to do. It is absolutely abhorrent as to what people have allowed this country to be. And until we get back to a point that we all understand that war is not about seeing who has the most toys. War is seeing how we can actually bring peace to the world. And there is no peace in this world today. We look at our southern border. We look at the number of invaders that have been allowed to come into this country. And we have a current government that is absolutely feeding a situation that I fear will come between now and November.
Well, I appreciate the call,
And I
T-Spear.
don't think I'm the only one.
No, you're
I
not.
hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. May God rise again on Sunday. May peace be with every one of you. May peace be within everyone's heart. Thank you guys for allowing me to rant today.
Thank you, T-Spear.
Thank you, T-Spear.
272-9228. Even with under the imminent threat of invasion, 26%, only 26% of Americans would volunteer for non-combat service.
I think that's kind of low. I think, for one, the reality is not true. Look at what happened after 9/11.
Well, people don't understand what it's actually like to be under siege.
Right.
No, even I could criticize, say, U.S. government war policy till the cows come home all day. But no, if we're actually being invaded, it's time to stand up.
And I will say that that's kind of the problem is that the United States has for the longest time abused the patriotic sentiments of its
100%.
young men
Yes.
by sending them off to act not in defense of God and country, but to act in defense of corporate interests or the interests of whatever oligarchs have domineering ideologies. And so now you have people that have the benefit of posterity that can look at Vietnam, they can look at even Korea, they can look at Iraq, they can look at Afghanistan, they can look at Syria, they can look at Lebanon, and they're just like, nope, not me. I'm not going to have history look back at me the same way that they look at those actions. And while in the micro, the individual actions of the soldiers can be seen as noble or ignoble, while you can look at individual actions in the macro on a global scale, those conflicts have destabilized the planet and made the planet a less safe place objectively, by the way.
No, and it does. People keep asking, because we're all men in here, how much y'all thought about the Roman Empire this week?
Several.
Yeah,
because
I just started Will Durant's Age of Faith, which is right. It starts with Constantine bequeathing to his sons and kind of breaking things up. It's like, not the right move, man. But so are we Rome, like at the end of the empire, to where it's at least in the Western Empire. I'm not counting Byzantium, but where they essentially just let the barbarians run roughshod over them.
I think we're in the Nero stage of the Roman Empire. I think that's where we are, where it's debauchery and flippant acts of concupiscence.
Or the other option could be we're at the end of the Roman Republic and you're about to get a Caesar Augustus.
Well, I mean, you could kind of say that that's what's happened in El Salvador.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not empirical the way that America is, but if ever there's an Augustus figure in the world right now.
Right. Well, and the things I wouldn't have believed or ever thought I would have believed years ago is one point I've come to when it comes to government is I think you can have liberty in pretty much any system of government. It could be a government of the many, especially like I'd imagine a small commune can work.
Mm-hmm.
Like a small, like we work together, we take care of each other. Yeah, and everybody's equal, and that can work. I think oligarchy can work. Heck, it worked for most of this nation's history. But I think you can even have freedom where it's essentially a king. But also, all of those can lead to tyranny as well. I think this idea that democracy never has a tyrannical aspects to it. You'll never get, tyranny under if the professional, well-educated elites are running things. And I think that's just an excuse, and it's ignorant.
Democracy, I think, can lead to the worst kinds of tyranny because, like, essentially, morons can strip away your rights just by mob rule.
All right, just watch The View.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and so, yeah. Whereas if you have what I would call like a social covenant in a micro scale, which is why I think all politics should be local.
Yes.
Then it's far easier to maintain liberty under that system because you are consensually coming into an agreement with the community under certain restrictions, and as soon as someone attempts to disturb that covenantal aspect of a community, then the threat of violence comes in.
Right.
And that's the only thing that keeps power in check is the threat of physical violence, which you don't necessarily have because people see the government as being far too large and far too federalized and centralized, and also the populace has been both disarmed and gelded. And I think that plays a little bit into the lack of desire for people to join up.
Isn't it like, well, I got to hit a break, but what I'm wondering is like, is the, how civilized we've become, or some might say soft, we've become, is that, some say like Edward Gibbon, The Fall of Rome is because Christianity is spreading and sort of taking down these ideals and replacing them with more Christian ones. But part of me thinks, no, you could look at early parts of this country and still pretty violent, even with good values behind it. We're still pretty rough people.
Look at what happened in the Crusades.
Oh, yeah.
Like, by the way, I'm actually quite fond of the Crusades as a historical event and the ideology that was behind it. I would highly recommend that people read. What's his name? Oh gosh, I'll have it after the break. But where you see these heroes of the Christian faith who were both very much in tune with their spiritual side, but also realized that in this corporeal existence that we have, violence must of occasions be used. King David, obviously, it's the funniest thing to me. It's like King David in the Tanakh, in the Old Testament, he wrote some of the greatest pieces of poetry / scripture that you could ever possibly read, but he was also a brutal killer on the battlefield, and he didn't see any sort of dichotomy between those two things.
Well, is it our values that have softened us? And I think
yes,
there is a great case to be made there. But I would say, look at just in the last 200 years, I think people take for granted how much technology and economic progress has allowed them to not have to be certain ways.
I agree completely.
Like just talking to my grandfather, who's 87, he talks about his parents who were living in a flat with hardly, just they had running water, that was about it. And the way, how rough those people were to each other, to him, to everyone around him. And they weren't unique in that culture. And so we think about things like child labor. It's like, oh, it's because of the unions. It's like, no. It's because they didn't have to anymore.
Yeah.
It's because we created new technologies and became economically prosperous enough where kids didn't have to work anymore on the farm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things with the liberation of women that you can accredit, I think, more to technology than any political movement, though, again, it is both. And I wonder if that's all stripped away, how quick does some of the worst depravity come back?
Oh, the most civilized people with the most comforts will become the most savage when those things are gone. And I don't mean savage in the sense of, the ability to do violence on a mass scale, but the desire and the ability to lose all moral virtue, to cast aside social mores. And what is it that the Joker said in the Dark Knight? He says these civilized people, when the cards are on the table, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. And that's literal. They will literally eat one another.
See, I love that movie, though, because they don't.
They don't, but they will.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Eventually,
that's one thing I don't like about the movie is it does not take human nature into account.
It's not realistic.
No, not at all.
We got to hit a break here. We'll come back to Soldier Boy and others. But first, this part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And Eddie, you've been working with them recently, right?
Quite a few times, Joey. Quite a few times. They came out and gave me inspections. You know how much they charged me for that inspection? Zero. Absolutely
What?
free. Yep. And they even found some issues. Now, they charged me to fix the issues, but it was a fair price.
Right,
I was very happy to pay.
Okay, the inspection was free, but how much did the estimate cost?
Whew, I was really worried about that, but it was absolutely free as well.
Whoa!
Even if I chose not to get it repaired, the estimate and the inspection still would have been free.
Well, and whether you have a metal roof or an asphalt roof, folks, River Region Contracting can help you out. They're called the premier roofing contractor in this area for good reason. And not only are their inspections and estimates always free, they're also insurance specialists, so they can walk you through that claims process and make it a simple and easy experience. Call them up today, 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey and Eddie from News and Views, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
We've all fallen into boring routines. We just keep doing what has to get done. Isn't it time to escape the old routine and make time for yourself? Make time to go out with old friends. Make time to add excitement back into your life. Make time to feel like a winner again. Life is more fun when you live it. So what are you waiting for? Escape every day at Wind Creek Casino and on the Casinoverse app.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
For over 40 years, Headley Plumbing has been fixing the River Region's plumbing problems with fast, affordable service. The pros at Headley are ready to respond anytime you need help, and they charge fair rates for their expert service. They help River Region homes and businesses every day, from repairing leaky faucets, septic tank service, replacing damaged sewer lines, or just unstopping a blocked drain. Trust the experts at Headley Plumbing. Call 285-3667. Headley Plumbing, 285-3667. Remember Headley's motto, in our business, a flush beats a full house.
Headley Metal Buildings has been your source for quality metal buildings in the River Region since 2007. Carports up to 24 feet wide, RV covers, storage buildings, even a sturdy metal barn up to 54 feet wide. Your structure can be customized, installed on level ground, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Let Headley Metal Buildings help you find the perfect solution. Financing available. Call 285-3667 for details or find Headley Metal Buildings on Facebook.
Hey, this is Ray Bowles with Prattville Carpet. And since we've been advertising on Blue Water, our sales have increased dramatically. Blue Water has a large listening audience that is very faithful to their advertisers, and we greatly appreciate that. If you're thinking about advertising for your business, I would highly recommend Blue Water.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the #1 reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the River Region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Ernest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Ernest, 334-279-7431. Ernest Financial, LLC.
Timing is everything, and the timing for this string of beautiful weather, just in time for the Easter weekend, couldn't be better. Sunshine today on this Good Friday with a high temperature up to about 74, so very comfortable. Partly cloudy, a little cool tonight, overnight low in the mid-40s. The warm-up continues tomorrow. Saturday's high 79, 83 on Easter Sunday, abundant sunshine, just about a perfect forecast. And then mid-80s with partial sunshine, still dry Monday, the risk of showers and storms holding off till Tuesday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
May the odds be ever in your favor as you embark on Prattville Carpet's Mohawk Money Hunt. Somewhere within the city limits of Prattville is the Prattville Carpet Troll Doll. Find it and bring it to Prattville Carpet to win $1,000 in cash. Clues will randomly be dropped every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the Prattville Carpet Facebook page or at prattvillecarpet.com. So monitor both to hear the clues fast, find the troll, and be $1,000 richer. Get the gameplay details anytime at prattvillecarpet.com or the Prattville Carpet Facebook page.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm Joey. He's Eddie.
What's up, Joey?
We also have Craig Monger in the studio here with us. And we have Soldier Boy on line one. Hey, Soldier Boy.
Hey, I just know one thing. I'm not playing Greg Monger any game of Scrabble.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest it.
It would. If Soldier Boy and I talked about this off air, it would take all night because you use such big words. I would have to challenge every dang word you threw down at me.
Right.
It'd take longer than Monopoly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty good at words, and Craig puts me on the back.
I am too.
It would be an all night just to get through like 3 or 4 hands. So yeah, I could
Hey,
not.
Mr.
Play.
Walking Thesaurus over there, you know.
Believe it or not, I'm actually atrocious at Scrabble.
I don't believe that. That's a hustle, Eddie. Don't take that.
I know. I'm not falling sucker to that. No.
You sandbagging them.
Hey, I want to talk about last week's 60 Minutes show with El Presidente from El Mexico.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that little taco. Can I say that? That's a Democratic word. I'm sorry. I could not believe the crap he said. First of all, he thinks he runs the country. He's talking about how I run the country and everything. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, the what do you call it? What are those gangs over there?
Oh, the cartels. They run that country.
Cartels are running the show, baby. What do you think?
100%.
Come on, man. First of all, that's slide number one.
Soldier Boy, I want you to keep going. Hold on to that number 2, but I covered this earlier in the week, and I'm enjoying listening to you make the same exact points, and I agree with you, so please keep going. Number 2.
Thank you. Second thing is, I liked what he said. He had to have a freaking damn translator. I've been all around this world, and let me tell you something. English is taught in every damn country as a second language.
You know he knows
okay?
English very well.
He damn well he does. I'm like, I know some Spanish words too, dude, but that's exactly. Thank you, Eddie. That's exactly trying to look important.
Yeah.
Right? Worry about controlling your damn country and having bodies beheaded, laying over bridges with ropes. Worry about that, pal. Here's the next thing: is I watched videos earlier that his soldiers are just letting them walk through. And he says, "Oh, I talked to Mr. Let me, Eddie. Joey, do me my Mr. Pretend you're Mr. Trump and I'm talking to you on the phone."
Hey, Soldier Boy. Great to talk to you. How are you?
Hey, I just want to tell you, Mr. Trump, Mr. El Trumpo, that the walls do not work. The walls don't work.
The wall, excuse me, the wall just got 10 feet taller, Amla.
Did you see him say that? I told Mr. Trump on the telephone that the walls would not work.
Is he Middle Eastern?
That's a mix. He's a mix.
He's part Egyptian. I am here from Mexico, and let me tell you, the wall is not working. It's not working. Let me tell you. Hola, how are you doing? ¿Qué pasa? I'm sorry, Soldier
Now
Boy.
you sound like Montana. Let me tell you something. I'm like, oh, you are a hot woman. I just, and now we got a caravan of 2,000 more coming. Woo-wee. Man. Let me ask you something. He bragged about El Presidente of America, Joe Biden. He bragged about, he did how many on the first day he signed how many presidential, not decrees, but it might as well have been decrees. What are you talking about when the presidential goes past the executive and legislature? What do you call it when he signs that? Yeah, executive orders. He bragged about how many 80 or 90 executive orders? But he can't sign one to bring the law up about crossing the border. He doesn't want to bring that one up. Why?
He doesn't have to do an executive order. Like that's like we don't need new laws.
But
we
he
don't need
could.
anything.
But he could. He could.
He could, but
Make himself look
he
even.
could also
He didn't
just
look good.
enforce the law. Like we're just not enforcing the law.
Right. That's the part I don't get. We're just not.
And then they hide behind, well, these are asylees.
Did you notice when Mr. Trump was in office, when he deals from the position of strength, okay? When he deals with El Mexico Presidente, okay? He told him flat out, dude, I'm gonna stop, stop selling your crap in my country and stuff that I am going to allow. I'm going to tax it so much it's pathetic. You're not going to make. He said, you don't want me to do that. And what happened? Oh, I saw Mexican soldiers up there at the border. Now they're just waving them on through.
Yep. It is where we're at, and it's the number one issue for a lot of Americans. I'll put it that way.
But didn't Mr. Trump have in between the two enchiladas that he has? He had them grabbed them, told him, this is what's going to happen, dude.
Yes, yeah, no, Trump got AMLO to kind of back down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to embargo your crap. I'm going to tax it so much you're not going to be able to make it. I'm not letting X amount of stuff coming into our country. Boom, boom, if you don't do this. And the next thing you know, man of action happens. It's the same president, too.
Right, bing, bang, boom.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then what does he say? He says, did he try to, threaten us? Did he threaten us on 60 Minutes?
Yes.
Oh, we need to send billions of dollars down to foreign countries to straighten this out. They say Mexico's problem.
Right. He did all this stuff, but I appreciate it, Soldier Boy. I got to hit my top of the hour break, man.
All right, man.
Later, homie.
Yeah, and I already did my rant on this earlier in the week, so I'll just keep my mouth shut for the time being. No reason to repeat myself too much. Hey, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and there at Pest Pro Services, Ashley and her team are ready to help you folks out with any of your pest control needs, but especially given this time of the year, termites.
Yep.
You need to get an inspection done for termites.
Yep.
And even if you don't have termites your property, you need to get the treatment done, because homeowners insurance doesn't cover termite treatment or repairs to termite damage. So the damage repairs are much more expensive than the treatment. Have Pest Pro come out. They can help you out in that regard. Another thing they can do for you this time of year is treat your yard for mosquitoes.
That's exactly right. Had that done this week. I'm looking forward. I'll be up at the Airbnb all weekend, so I'll be able to give a report Monday.
Because you have beautiful balconies out there on that Airbnb in particular.
But when you got a gazillion mosquitoes trying to carry you off, it's no fun.
Yeah, right.
So, and I didn't want to do the tiki torches.
No.
And that's not
Well,
good. I didn't want to spray everybody down.
Right.
So we got Pest Pro Services. We got them out there.
And they can help you across the board with any of your pest control needs. You might as well make them your everyday pest control company.
That's right.
That number, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces today. When you want to know, call a pro, Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell them that, well, you heard about them here on the radio from Joey and Eddie.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. A crane has appeared at the side of a collapsed highway bridge in Baltimore as crews prepare to begin clearing wreckage. The debris has stymied the search for 4 missing workers and blocked ships from entering or leaving the city's vital port. New York City officials announcing a pilot program to deploy portable gun scanners in the subway system. The scanner announcement came days after a fatal shove in an East Harlem subway station once again brought the issue of subway safety to the forefront. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for a cryptocurrency fraud that a prosecutor has described as one of the biggest financial frauds in U.S. history. Louis Gossett Jr., the first black man to win a supporting actor Oscar, has died. He was 87. This is SRN News.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-0141.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. Alabama joined 10 other states in a federal lawsuit Thursday challenging President Biden's student loan repayment plan. The states argue that Biden overstepped his authority in creating the SAVE plan, which was made available last year and has already canceled loans for more than 150,000 people. Auburn University announced expedited assistance for displaced Birmingham Southern students Thursday. The assistance includes waiving application fees and a quick review of applications. The process is expected to help BSU students enroll in Auburn for the summer semester. A Montgomery barbershop that was destroyed in a January arson has reopened in a new location on Hall Street. Seven Seeds Barber and Style is one of 4 businesses on Norman Bridge Road that was destroyed by the fire 2 months ago. No arrests have been made. The case remains unsolved. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Madness is happening right now. But the real action is happening at Toyota of Montgomery. Score our biggest Toyota savings of the year. That's on our biggest selection of new Toyotas in stock. Like the game-winning 2024 Camry, now $299 a month. Trade in your old car. No matter what it is, no matter where you got it, we'll give you up to $2,000 over book value for it. And they're here. The Toyota of Montgomery All-Stars. Shop and save thousands on our certified pre-owned Toyotas. They're just like new Toyotas, even come with a warranty, but cost thousands less. Want in on the action? Hurry before it all ends March 31st. Dribble down to Toyota of Montgomery online at toyotamontgomery.com. Part of the Sutherland Automotive Group. Camry LE MSRP 30,958, 12,000 miles per year for 36 month leases with 3638 due at signing. $0 security deposit with accrued credit. Trade value is based on excessive wear, tear, and mileage, plus tax, tag, title, and $9.95 dock fee. Offer ends 4/1/2024.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Second hour of news and views here on a Good Friday. Good Friday, everybody, and happy Easter. Though, when you really reflect on today, I almost hesitate, because I know it's coming on Sunday, but I hesitate to say happy Easter when you really reflect on the moment, because it's, you could watch the Passion of the Christ, or, I don't know, 12 years of Catholic school, we did the Stations of the Cross, and got pretty intense into it every year. And it's a horrifying story if it just ended there, I'll put it that way. It's like the worst, most terrible tragedy you could ever think of. And it's good to know that there's a bit of a surprise in a few days. But, yeah. So that's why I sometimes hesitate on it. Good Friday in particular, to say, oh, happy Easter, everybody. I'm like, no, this is the day to remind us of how awful human beings can be.
Well, you're not a Hallmark greeting card either, so.
Yeah, well, you can say that again. I am certainly not a Hallmark greeting card, Eddie. 272-9228 if you want to hop in on the program. There was a big, let's say, Christian event here in the state of Alabama. 1819 News reporting on it. This is from Trent Baker. Put the devil on notice. Scores of students baptized at Unite Bama event. And it looks like this was in one of the arenas. Anyway, thousands showed up to, Coleman Coliseum at the University of Alabama campus on Wednesday for a night of worship hosted by Unite Bama, and a large number left with their lives forever changed. The event was hosted by the same group that oversaw a similar wave of baptisms on Auburn University's campus last year. Okay, that starts to make sense. Unite US. Unite has been traveling to college campuses around the country, teaching and worshiping Jesus and his message. Much like Unite Auburn, scores of students were baptized in Tuscaloosa following the end of the event. Videos and photos published on social media show students were baptized in the fountain at Government Plaza. Now, people said lives forever changed. Sorry, I'm the cynic. That remains to be seen.
Yeah. You don't want to get me started on this subject.
See what I was trying to do here? It's like, hey.
Poke the bear.
Joey
had the tendency to do that.
I actually attended the Unite Auburn event, and I'm the one who wrote the story that is hyperlinked in this one. And it's a problem that I've had with, because I've been to several of these types of events. I went to the Passion Conference in Atlanta, similar such events all over. And they never take effect. They never hold. There's nothing that clings on because the message that they offer isn't a potent one. And I keep coming back to that. The message that turned the world, that 12 men deployed 2,000 years ago to turn the world upside down is not the one that you get at these sorts of events. It's highly emotionally charged, and it's highly I could leave it at that. It's emotionally charged. The music is meant to do that. It's not meant to orient you toward the divine and to actually come to an acceptance of who God is and who man is in light of who God is. It's a general sort of God loves you, come get in the water type of message, and it never sticks.
Well, and I would say of any faith and any denomination within Christianity, at the end of the day, it does end up being about your own personal relationship with God, right?
Well, yeah,
so you can go through the motions of any sort of ritual, but if you're just going through the motions, it's not going to
True,
stick.
But you see this, you actually see this throughout the Tanakh, through the Old Testament, especially in the book of Isaiah, which is a scathing condemnation of the people of Israel, and he says, I've heard your prayers. I've seen your sacrifices. I don't want them anymore. I don't care about your sacrifices. I don't care about your festivals. I don't care about, by the way, festivals and sacrifice that God commands. He said, I don't care about those. What I care about is a humble and a contrite heart, a change of heart, an internal change. So when you say it's really about the individual person's faith, it's more important than that. But at the end of the day, what you do with the message of the cross, which touches every single aspect of your life, what you do when you go home with that, when you go to work with that, when you sleep with that, throughout the churches don't just one little part on Sunday. You have to take that and deploy it in every aspect of your life because you believe it, because you've had a change of heart. That's what the gospel does. That's why Christ died, to remove what the scripture calls the heart of stone and give us a heart of flesh, to transform the person. That's what being born again is. It's not just some trite statement. It's like you are literally, your old nature dies, and you obtain a new nature, a new heart.
And one aspect that I find fascinating is folks who are in the institutions. And again, I come from more of a Catholic background, but there are plenty of stories of priests who have been involved with the faith for the longest time, and they have trouble believing. Now, they don't leave the faith. There are actually things within, say, Catholic doctrine on suggesting, here's how that happens, here's how you overcome it. Or Mother Teresa, I think in her diaries,
big time,
had trouble actually believing, but she kept on, keeping on, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think that's that sort of battle. It's a tough one for people to talk publicly, because I think sometimes this stuff becomes about social signal and not about the actual contrite heart, as you're saying there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I it's difficult for me because that's never a particular one that I've struggled with. You obviously struggle with certain aspects of existence where you can. I think obviously if you read the book of Ecclesiastes, you can sort of see that of just vanity of vanity. It's all vanity. It's like this is all crumbling.
my favorite book. That
yeah,
and Job.
I mean, he's watching his city destroyed, and he's just being destroyed, and he's just lamenting it. But you can lament and have a crisis wherein you sort of fear the unknown, fear what's coming, fear destruction. But what you have to do, that's where faith takes over, and you realize what Scripture also says is that we know that all things work together for the good for those who love God and who are the called according to his purpose, and that God is orienting the story and the fabric of human existence towards an ultimate and glorious end that you get to be a part of. And that animates you, not just in your church life, but in your day-to-day life, because you are oriented towards that end, the glorification of God and his ultimate purpose being fulfilled in and through you.
So, an ultimate terminus of glory in God. Do you think we get here with this? Senate Minority Leader Singleton files bill expanding pre-made mixed drinks sales to grocery convenience stores. Think that's going to help us?
It could. Why is that even a thing? I don't.
What, pre-made?
Right up there with the log and squatted trucks.
Yeah.
Just
squatted trucks.
The squatted trucks in the back.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to pass.
Oh, yeah.
Just let it go away. Give it another hour. It'll be gone. Yes, they're ugly. They're god-awful ugly. But come on.
Yeah, that bill really tested my my sort of anarchist libertarian because the part of me that loves aesthetics really loved that bill, but also I was like, just kind of let people do what they want, because the people with squatted trucks really are the most hateable people
They
on
are.
the planet.
And literally, give them a couple hours. They'll grow up and they'll look at that and they go, "Oh, this looks stupid."
Uncle Ron, is that my Uncle Ron?
We can go to Uncle Ron. Hey,
Uncle
Uncle
Ron.
Ron.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Good. How you doing?
It's not your Uncle Ron?
Not my Uncle
I'm
Ron.
doing just wonderful. You know what? Your comments just now are like such a breath of fresh air to the whole listening community in the Tri-Counties here. And I just give you guys kudos for getting out there and just saying that. There's a lot of media that would not even dare to go there. And, it is all about having a contrite heart and being humble and understanding what he's done for you. Today was a bad day for Jesus.
Right.
But Sunday, when he's risen again, that's when we celebrate his resurrection. That's a resurrection for mankind. And, man, I get choked up just thinking about it. But you guys deserve kudos for bringing this out. There is no telling how many people listen to your program and trust what you say that are going to say, well, maybe I do need to check out this Jesus thing. Boom. Seeds planted, seeds harvested, and souls won for heaven. And all for his glory.
Well, amen, Uncle Ron. I appreciate the call, man. Really do.
Yeah, thank you so much for what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I continue to wrestle and struggle. There's one guy, Alex O'Connor. He's an atheist British guy, and his conversations though are he's very respectful and he knows his theology pretty darn well. So I appreciate the guy. He makes an argument for the hiddenness of God, and my point is keep working at it. Don't stop. Like I think it's when you sort of give up that you start to really cave in on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, but I agree, but also G.K. Chesterton had a statement. He had a quote that says that the purpose of an open mind is the same purpose as an open mouth. It's meant to close around something.
Sure. Yeah.
And so what I see far too often is these people that they have what John Calvin called the sensus divinitatis, the sense of the divine. And they're aware of that because honestly, you can't escape it. It's Scripture talks about that with the God has made Himself known to people through what is made, and that's sufficient. That natural theology, if you want to call it that, is sufficient to secure their condemnation, but not sufficient to secure their salvation. That requires special revelation. So I feel like so many people get stuck in that phase of having a sense of the divine, recognizing the spiritual nature of our existence, but they never go further, and
Right.
they kind of get stuck there. And that's what's always so frustrating to me with people, because it's like, take the blind watchmaker argument that that people always talk about with intelligent design.
Yeah.
And Richard Dawkins actually wrote a book called The Blind Watchmaker. You have a watch, all right, and you can tell, hey, someone made this watch, someone
Right.
designed this watch to do a specific thing. That is clear by the existence of the watch. Tell me something about the man who made this.
Right.
You can't. Tell me what his design was for the watch, what his intentions was for the watch. Tell me something. What color hair did he have? What was his feelings about any number of situations? You can't do it. That requires special revelation, and that is what is so incredible about the cross, is because not only did God in times past condescend to communicate to his creation through the words of the Tanakh, but he also revealed himself ultimately and fully in his son and secured the redemption for his people. In what Philippians, it's the greatest thing. It says, have this mind amongst yourselves, which is also in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be held on to, but emptied himself, taking on the form of a servant, being born in the likeness of man, and being found in human form, he humbled himself and became obedient even unto death, even death on a cross. And I think that that is the ultimate all, not only realizing that God is who he is, but that God is so awe-inspiring that he emptied himself of everything that it meant to be God and humbled himself to the will of the Father and endured the cross.
And I've mentioned this to you before in all these airwaves, but I kind of, it's a very complicated, long book that I don't really fully understand. But Carl Jung's Answer to Job, the answer to Job is exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Let's go to David for a forget. Hey, David, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how are you?
Good.
All right, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, Christ only used two terms to describe himself. He said, I'm meek and humble at heart. And I think all of us need to strive more for that, those two attributes.
He also, he also described himself, his favorite term for himself was the Son of Man from Daniel 7. And read Daniel 7, and read the end of the book of Revelation, by the way. Jesus is a bit more than that. He came meek and lowly riding on a donkey, but that's not how he's coming back.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, have you ever read the book Why Revival Tarries by Leonard Ravenhill?
I'm a huge fan of the preaching of Leonard Ravenhill, but no, I have not. I have not read the book. Obviously, I have theological disagreements with Mr. Ravenhill,
Sure.
but I think he was a blessing to the Christian church.
Yeah, it's a short read. It's a paperback. He wrote it in 1957, and I'm in the process of reading it right now. And I'm telling you, it is as relevant today as it was in 1957. The things that he describes in 1957 of American society, you would think he wrote it yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ravenhill was another one of those people like Francis Schaeffer who weren't deserved in their time, but are needed now more than ever now that they're gone.
And it's interesting. You said the 50s, David. There are a lot of folks on Twitter today posting photos of the New York City skyline, and the Empire State Building was lit up with a cross on Good Friday.
Yep. Yep, sure was. Yeah. So have a good one, guys.
See you, bud.
You won't see that today.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, and sometimes isn't it interesting how sometimes you'll read a thing and you're not in the moment, you're not quite convinced, and then 5-10 years go by and that thing keeps itching at the back of your mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this is a weird one, and I will thank Greg if he's still out there listening, not Mr. Boudel, but Greg, you know who you are, gifted me Tolstoy's A Confession, and for some reason, that book and the testimony in that book constantly will, for lack of a better word, haunt me. And it's because Tolstoy was like, nobody could really beat the guy when it came to intellectual games and logic. He was also incredibly depraved.
Yeah.
But to see that guy essentially humbled, it's a remarkable process. And it's one where you read it and you go away from it and then you come back and go, wait, how did this happen again? That's the one that continues to speak to me when I constantly revisit. Though as far as his theology, I don't know how accepted that is by most anybody around the world.
No, he had some weird ideas, but he was a man trapped with a brain that I don't think he knew what to do with.
Right.
And I think Oscar Wilde is another person that you could chalk that up to.
Absolutely.
And so while you appreciate the uniqueness of the thought in that brain, you also have to realize that it came up with some pretty Aquinas, I will even say, falls into that into that vein as well, because especially towards the end, he really came apart. And so you can appreciate the mind while recognizing that it took him to some bizarre places.
Well, the worst is Peter Abelard. Do you know the Abelard story?
I actually don't.
Okay, it's Peter and Eloise. Peter Abelard is like well known for his Aristotelian logic. I believe he is a theologian, philosopher in France in the Middle Ages, and he becomes world renowned, or at least within Europe, he becomes renowned. These were like, those sort of thinkers, speakers, those that could argue points. Those were the rock stars of that day, and he was kind of treated like a rock star. People throwing themselves at him, this sort of thing. I believe can't remember his name, nobleman asked for Peter Abelard to tutor his daughter Eloise. And Abelard and Eloise start having an affair. And when the dad finds out, she goes to a nunnery. Abelard's kind of left to his own devices. Well, he's sneaking into the nunnery.
Oh. All right.
So then they castrated him.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he does have this final act where he sort of comes back redeemed and all this stuff, but it takes years after he's been shamed, and essentially his name is Mud. But talk about a brilliant mind who destroys his life. And there's so many of those crazy characters. Oscar Wilde fits that bill perfectly. And those tend to be the ones that fascinate me. I don't know why, but those tend to be those characters that don't quite fit the mold, but then also have this element to them that is striving towards something. It just fascinates me to no end. But hey, let's hit another break. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by H&H Carpets, where you will find a complete line of Mohawk carpet with exceptionally clean, smart strand fiber. It's always available and ready to be installed. H&H Carpets across from Walmart on the Atlanta Highway.
Hi, everybody. An absolutely picture postcard perfect Easter weekend forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy, a little cool, overnight low temperature in the mid-40s, but a nice recovery tomorrow. Upper 70s on Saturday, 83 on Easter Sunday, sunshine for the weekend. Just a beautiful forecast with a high in the mid-80s Monday, still dry, and the next risk of scattered showers and thunderstorms returning on Tuesday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Thank you once again for voting ASE the best credit union and best mortgage company in Central Alabama's Reader's Choice Awards. We're honored to serve our members for 69 years and counting. ASE Credit Union, your life, your goals, your ASE.
Sweetheart?
Yeah?
I've been thinking, I'm tired of this house.
What? You want to move?
Yeah, but we'd have to do some updating, to get top dollar.
Updating really does make a lot of sense, especially when you're talking about lighting. That's where Crosby Electric comes in. They'll help you choose a stunning pendant fixture over your bathroom sink, dramatic flush mount lighting over your kitchen island, maybe some LED panels to backlight your countertops. Energy-saving LED lighting has really come down in price. Or how about a new ceiling fan that moves air more efficiently than fans built only 10 years ago? The bottom line, updating your lighting almost always delivers a full return on your investment.
Well, sweetheart, the house looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Guess I'll put out the for sale sign.
Wait.
What?
I don't want to move.
Find out how to turn your house into the home you'll never want to leave. Visit crosbyelectric.com or call 272-2085.
How are you going to use your tax refund? New flooring? New countertops? Carroll's Carpet Flooring America is locally owned and operated by local experts, so you can achieve the most beautiful and updated looks while supporting your community. You'll enjoy personalized service that you'll not find anywhere else. They can make your dreams come true with top-of-the-line hardwood, carpet, laminate, tile, and luxury vinyl. They have everything you need in flooring. Go to carrollscarpetmontgomery.com or visit their showroom on the Northeastern Boulevard.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. You know, off air, Craig was asking me, why does it always turn into like us talking about theology when he's on? And I think it's because you know a lot about it, number one. It just comes up. And it's also, I think it's in the news.
Yeah.
One way or the other. When you look at our times today, it can be pretty heavy. Though, if you try to lighten the mood, did you see what happened in California?
I'm assuming it's something bad.
Well, it's kind of bad, and it's kind of absurdly funny. There's a California police department that, in an effort to comply with Governor Gavin Newsom's regulations and have a little fun, has replaced the heads of perps in social media photos with Lego heads.
Yeah, that's pretty good, too.
So, essentially, the new order is you can't show the identity of these folks you arrest. So the police department has been superimposing Lego heads on top of the folks. And a lot of folks online thought it was hilarious. Jack Posobiec and Post Millennial did a big old report on it. And have you seen these at all, Craig?
No, I have not.
Here, I'll just show
pull
you
them up
one
on the screen.
Here, and I can show you right there on just that one.
Oh.
Yeah. So just instead of blurring out the face, they're just putting a Lego head over the face. Yeah, right. It's like, what is
pretty funny?
What is this?
That's so funny. It's like, is that just because they know how to do that on like a iPhone or something, where they could just?
Yeah. Well, they're like, well, if you're going to say we have to blur their faces, let's have fun with it. Well, everybody thought it was kind of funny, like absurdly funny, except for Lego.
Yeah, I kind of figured Lego would have an issue there. Yeah, but how come we can't put the faces of criminals? Isn't that their job to kind of warn us that these are the bad guys?
Yeah, I watched Cops. They didn't blur out a single suspect's face.
And they had plenty of opportunity to blur out some other things. When
I guess this is Gavin Newsom's new thing. But Lieutenant Jeremy Durant of the Murrieta Police Department there in California told Fox News, quote, "The Lego Group reached out to us and respectfully asked us to refrain from using their intellectual property in our social media content, which of course we understand we'll comply with. We are currently exploring other methods to continue publishing our content in a way that's engaging and interesting to our followers."
They can just use the off-brand Lego. There's a million off-brand. There's blocks.
Oh,
by the way, the intellectual property thing just drives me insane.
Oh, yeah.
Is it wrong that you could tell the guy's ethnicity by his outfit?
Exactly.
And also they gave him a 5 o'clock shadow on the Lego head.
It's like you're wearing a plaid shirt that's only buttoned at the top button. I wonder what ethnicity you could be.
Hey, what's up, Holmes? Let's go to Red Top. Hey, Red Top.
Hey, gentlemen. What is your name, your guest?
Craig Monger.
Craig Monger.
Aren't we past this, honestly? I love you, Red Top, but I'm here every Friday, and my name hasn't changed. We've spoken multiple times. My feelings are this close to being heard.
Get your feelings hurt.
Don't be.
He's
hey,
huffing
why don't
pain
you
all
become a
day.
redhead? Why don't you get born redhead and you'll get tired? You'll learn to get over that crap.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Ginger.
What I enjoyed about your, I called before you got on the air last Friday. I get the impression you are a Catholic converted to Greek Orthodox Church.
No and no. I was born in the church, but lived as a pagan until I was around 20 years old, and then I became a Protestant, and I'm still to this day a through and through Protestant. Like, I love being Protestant. It's my favorite thing in the world. I'm a confessional 1689 Reformed Baptist.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy, would I have fun with you. You know, I did some spy work for the Pope at a Baptist church here in Alabama in the country, and it scared the hell out of me.
You said you did a presentation on the Pope?
Pardon me?
What did you do on the Pope? I missed that. I'm sorry.
I was spying for the Pope on the Baptist church.
Oh.
Wait, the Holy See requested you go do that?
All right.
Joey, I have a lot more pull than you think.
Wow.
You just had a state representative in there the other day telling you how great I was. Okay. So, beside the point, sir, you brought up some stuff about, and right now I've been working with Greeks, real Greek Orthodox people. Joey, there's a Greek Orthodox Bible, there's Greek Orthodox encyclopedias, everything in this house. And you said some very interesting things about Armageddon last week, that you thought the third Armageddon had already occurred with the destruction of the temple. And that is exactly how the Greeks feel about it.
I mean, technically, not the third Armageddon. I don't think I said that at all. I said the book of Revelation is mostly predicting and talking about the destruction of Israel in the destruction of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem in 70 A.D. and the destruction of the Jewish Aeon. The quote Battle of Armageddon, I'm sort of up in the air about.
Yes. If you want to see a good documentary about Armageddon, there's a full documentary about all three Armageddon. I think it's on Quest. It is on Quest. But happy Easter to you, sir. And I am obviously a Catholic warrior. I don't believe in the end of the world. It is just pure stupidity, and it's the Catholic Church put Revelation in there to scare the hell out of everybody. I hope you realize that.
I didn't
Armageddon
catch that.
Armageddon ain't gonna happen. God is still creating. The universe is expanding, right?
Yes, and he's currently
Right.
redeeming the world right now, as we are currently living in the new heavens and the new earth, from my perspective.
Yes. So God's still creating. He ain't gonna kill us all, nor is he gonna kill the squirrels and the birds I feed every day in my backyard. I believe God is good in all. The Old Testament is evil, and I think it's wonderful. We're gonna have.
I'm sorry. Did you just say that the Old Testament was evil?
Hell yes. Read it. God. It's
Well, so you
bizarre.
have a perspective of the Old Testament that's different than Jesus.
Well, that's fine. Jesus was a Jew, and
All right,
I
we're done
find
here.
the Old Testament's full of trouble. So I'm a devout Catholic. I've been a heavy
I
Catholic all
can
my
name
life.
you about 10 popes that would have seen you beheaded for saying what you just said. So I
I
really
don't
dispute
care.
that.
I don't care. We already know the stupidest priest in the world was the guy that put, Joey Galileo on the house arrest. So there's been plenty of dumb popes.
And
All us
actually, that
Catholics know
Pope was trying to get Galileo off easy. The history's a little more complicated, but yeah, he did eventually.
Galileo. Dude, don't bring up Galileo in this conversation.
Red Top.
That's far too nuanced.
Happy Easter.
Hey, I know that's too deep for it. You guys have a great Easter. It's going to be beautiful, Joey. I hope your niece is doing well.
She is.
And God bless you all. Roll Tide, go Trump, and go Alabama. Damn, that was a last half a second win.
Yeah, don't rub it in.
Elite Eight.
Don't rub it into
Heading
this.
to the Elite Eight.
Appreciate it, man. 272-9228.
Is that a troll?
That's just Red Tide.
Like, what diocese is
see
he
the
under?
confusion,
He's
but-
going to get excommunicated. He should be careful. He's like, even Marcion wouldn't go that far.
How about let's hit a break and let's come back and somewhat change gears, but not completely. Tucker Carlson sat down with Mike Rowe, and some of the stuff Mike Rowe said,
Pretty
I'm
good.
like, that is spot on.
Pretty good. Watch that.
Because, folks sometimes go, why do y'all try to get so heavy on these radio airways? I'm like, you underestimate, I think, the working class. I think you underestimate blue-collar folks. There are a lot of, say, welders that can talk intelligently about philosophy and theology and enjoy that stuff. And don't get me, you were a truck driver for a while, right?
I was a truck driver for a very long time,
Yeah.
and I did menial labor after that. I've only done reporting for the past 2.5, 3 years.
Especially truck drivers, y'all have a lot of time to listen to things.
That's actually that's how I became a Christian. Was listening to sermons on YouTube and debates on stuff that I thought was interesting, and I became convicted and was converted in my 18-wheeler.
There you go.
God bless.
Well, this part of the program, before we hit the break, brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And, two things affect most men as we mature. One is erectile dysfunction. The other, low testosterone. And it's nothing to deny, put off, or be ashamed about. And it's certainly not something to wait to get fixed. And I know guys hate going to the doctor. I do. But Montgomery Men's Health was created to take care of guys just like us. And the reality is, if you're having issues in the bedroom, pills often quit working. And guys start making excuses for not coming to bed. I didn't know this, Eddie. There are now studies that show that men will be more irritable and argumentative before bed just to avoid failing at intimacy.
Wow.
Yeah. So they will pick a fight with the lady so they don't have to, even try. So if you're doing that,
Sounds like a dude thing.
If you're lacking motivation, energy, and drive, you're just always feeling tired, feel like you're walking through life in a fog, including a decrease in your sex drive, loss of muscle mass, knowing whether you have low T is huge in combating some of these issues. The providers of Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And Montgomery Men's Health has low T treatments that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains at the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism. You usually even notice an increased libido. You can actually book the same day that you call. Guys, it's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Come out to Wind Creek, Montgomery, March 28th through the 30th for 3 action-packed days of competition, fun, and live entertainment during our 2nd annual Poosa Jeep Fest. Check out the Jeeps and watch them compete for great prizes. Join in on the pizza eating contest. Shop or grab a bite at Food Truck Alley. New this year, take a photo with our 62-foot inflatable Bigfoot, free to the public. See times and details at windcreekmontgomery.com. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC. The Poosa Jeep Fest is sponsored and affiliated with FCA US LLC.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man. Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Erdit. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
The Tierce family has been your local Roto-Rooter service since 1964. Drain cleaning, plumbing repair, and those troublesome septic tanks, no problem. Technology has changed a bit in the last 54 years. Video inspections of lines to locate problems is available, as well as scheduling your appointment online. River Region residents have trusted Roto-Rooter for over half a century. You can too. Call today at 272-7130 or visit online at rotorooteralabama.com.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and legal troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Hi, everybody. An absolutely picture postcard perfect Easter weekend forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy, a little cool, overnight low temperature in the mid-40s, but a nice recovery tomorrow. Upper 70s on Saturday, 83 on Easter Sunday, sunshine for the weekend. Just a beautiful forecast with a high in the mid-80s Monday, still dry, and the next risk of scattered showers and thunderstorms returning on Tuesday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Web Bobo with Capital Tractor. Make this spring your most productive yet with our package deal on Kubota's L2501 DT tractor with front loader, 5-foot cutter and box blade, and 20-foot trailer at special spring savings. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, as promised, let's go to the tape here. This is Tucker Carlson sitting down with Mike Rowe, who I've always been a fan of Mike Rowe. I mean, who doesn't love Mike Rowe?
Been a great guy. Always has been.
Yeah, and he's very charismatic, I'll put it that way. Let's listen in.
Debate over AI, artificial intelligence, is about whether the technology will become sentient and autonomous and enslave us all. And of course, that'll probably happen. But in the meantime, we thought it'd be interesting revisiting the original debate about AI, which is about how it affects work. What are the rest of us going to do for a living when machines can do it for us? And there's nobody who's thought more deeply about this and about work in general and its centrality to human dignity than Mike Rowe, and we are, as always, honored to have him in studio. Mike, thank you for coming on.
First of all, you win. The desk?
It's wood.
Are you kidding? I got a link from a buddy who said, hey, man, not for nothing, but I went onto one of these sites and I said, narrate for me in the style of Mike Rowe these 2 paragraphs, right? And he sent me a link to this. And basically, it was 2 paragraphs from an old episode of Deadliest Catch. And I hit play, and I listened to me. Now, had I not known it was not me, I would have thought, well, that's something I narrated, 4 or 5 years ago.
Couldn't tell the difference.
Couldn't tell. When I listened for it, I heard some things that made me go, maybe not quite. But that was 2 months ago, which might as well be 2 years ago or 20 years ago. My entire career is actually based on AI. Early on in Dirty Jobs, there was this big conversation at the network when they were like, look, this show it was a nightmare for them because it was rating really, really well, but it was off-brand. Like, Dirty Jobs was not supposed to be the show that people went to Discovery to love. No, it was that. Those were still the days of Attenborough and Jacques Cousteau and Jane Goodall, right?
Yeah.
This was me, a smart aleck looking under rocks, making poop jokes. That's not supposed to be the number one show. So they're like, can you smarten it up a little bit? And I said, well, I've been looking at some science type jobs. And they're like what? I'm like, well, I'd like to take a deep dive into AI. And they're like, that's great. That's great. If you can find dirty jobs in AI, we're golden. Now, did they think I was talking about artificial insemination? Probably not. Probably not.
Did you do that episode?
The long
4 days later,
right
I
there.
was at Circle X Ranch, somewhere outside of Houston, with my arm up to my shoulder inside a couple of dozen cows, taking instructions from a cowboy named Steve.
I got to ask you, you were an opera singer.
Well, I sang in the opera. I've also skied down mountains, but very few people say, oh, it's Mike Rowe, the skier.
I've skied down many mountains. I've never sung opera. But is there ever a time when you do it still?
Oh, yeah. Weddings, funerals.
For real?
I sing on my podcast, I write unauthorized jingles for all the sponsors and sing them in 4-part harmony because it amuses me.
Do you ever sing in Italian still?
Yasimara senti il resto al pianto.
Really good,
Scendere sacri monti devi. Grazia ricevi. It goes on.
He would make a great. By the way, he would do a really good Wotan in during the Nibelungen, which is a very deep part, and I think his voice would be perfect for it. But that's in German, obviously, not Italia.
But apparently, I think what happened, I thought we were going to get to the key part about one quote from Micro in this long interview is our country needs more welders that can talk intelligently about Nietzsche, philosophers that can work. And I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Just because you are exercising your mind doesn't mean, oh, I don't have to work with my hands at all.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why I started doing at least some working out 5-6 years ago. I realized for a decade, I was just like this floating head. Everything else was turning to jelly.
Yeah, I think that's the concept of the warrior poet that I believe is completely lost. Both because I think that some people feel like certain areas of knowledge or even culture are not available to them simply because of their station. And that simply isn't the case anymore.
Right.
And I think you are seeing an uptick in a lot of very, very, very intelligent blue collar workers, because honestly, blue collar work can be some of the most fulfilling and the most fun.
Right.
If you do like actual physical labor, especially if it requires a skill where you can actually get paid for, it can be it can be a lot of fun. But that does not mean that therefore you can at the same time intake knowledge into your life. I remember, like I said, even when I was driving trucks and when I would do even construction or communications work, which is pretty much construction, just of a different breed. Whenever possible, I would have an audio in. During lunch, I would have an audiobook in. On the way there, I'd be listening to audiobooks. When I got home, I would read books. And once you realize that the wealth of knowledge that's out there in the world and that it's available to you because of this wonderful thing called the internet, then not only does your world change, but your concept of like the internet changes. Like, oh, this isn't a hellscape of people calling each other racial and racial slurs on Twitter. This is a place where I can actually learn just about everything there is to know in human understanding.
Yeah, and
it's
beautiful to behold. And also, I think this idea that we need to build things in America again. Yeah, I saw I don't know if this is exactly true, but I'll take it at face value, that it took about a year to build the Empire State Building.
Wow.
It took about 5 years to build the Hoover Dam. Henry Kaiser, too, like just revisiting Arthur Herman's book, Freedom's Forge, when they're mobilized for World War II, the competition these shipyards had, who could build the Liberty ship the fastest. It's just incredible how quickly these people were doing these things. And it was dangerous. They're now estimating that to build the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore will take 10 years.
No, it should take 2 years. It literally should take 2 years.
It's unreal. Growing up in China, funnily enough, I saw Bill Maher make this point like several years ago about the speed at which China's built. I would see several story buildings, like let's say like an 18 to 25 story building. I'd see that go up in a couple months in China. And it was a regular occurrence. Good luck seeing that here.
Yeah.
It takes longer than that to build a house.
It takes longer than that just to get the permits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what's slowing everything
studies.
down.
And
Yeah.
it's just one thing after another. They handicap us left and right.
Well, we got to hit this quick break. But first, this entire hour has been brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage, Kim Williams and her team, including the lovely and talented Madeline Cannon. They're ready to help you whether you're looking to buy a home.
That's right.
Hey, don't be paying attention just to the national economic headlines. That's not, well, in the interest rate, guys, you need to try to think about your own personal situation. Does it make sense for you to buy a home? And the folks there at Alabama Home Mortgage can help you figure that out. What's your strategy in buying a home? What's your long-term goals in owning a home? And they can get you the best possible deal. But also they can help you with a refinance deal.
That's right.
So if you are under mountains of debt, say credit card debt, you just got behind, it can happen to anybody, and you do have equity built up in your home, well, they can help you out to get the load off you.
Big time.
Or it could be you don't have a debt load. It's more like, hey, I want to help out the kid as they're going off to a new city after college, or I want to reinvest in the property. I want to add on to it and add more value to my property. Whatever your strategy, whatever your goal, Alabama Home Mortgage can help you. So call them today, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies like Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. Hopefully when we come back, we'll have Michael Cohen on the line.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Luxury car prices and payments have hit an all-time high. But at Lexus of Montgomery, we have every new Lexus model in stock with low APR financing to save you thousands. Right now, take advantage of as low as 3.99% APR financing on your favorite new Lexus. You don't have to pay more to get the luxury vehicle you want. Pay less at Lexus of Montgomery. You deserve to drive a Lexus from Lexus of Montgomery.
Financing up to 36 months is $29.52 per 1,000 financed. New approved credit ends 4/1/24.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. As promised, let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Oh, we're carrying on. We're carrying on. And how's it going at Cohen's?
It's going wonderful. We've had some good customers come in. We had a guy that won a television through Alabama State. He came, picked it up today. Nice 55-inch OLED.
Nice.
Had to get his aunt to come and pick it up because it was bigger than his Toyota.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, that's been good, and
Now let's talk. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm also told Eddie's got somebody coming to get some appliances.
That's right. Yeah, we sold the house, and it needed some appliances, and the guy called me yesterday and said, looking for a recommendation. So I literally gave him your name, so he'll be coming looking for you.
Oh, fantastic.
So make sure you got $20 in your pockets. That's the first thing he's going to ask you.
Yeah, well, and,
is that for him or for you?
Well, for him, but he's going to give it to me.
Okay.
Well, and yeah, that is a great idea with a brand new home purchase where you just let's fill out this kitchen here with the latest and greatest. But though my mind is on y'all's seating arrangements, I can't get those captain's chairs out of my mind. For folks who don't know what I'm talking about, what is a captain's chair?
So it's a nice chair. I kind of equate it to like what your car would have in it, a nice bucket seat. It does recline. It does have an ottoman. It does sit on a little pedestal that allows it to swivel 360 degrees, so it could be an adult sit and spin. And but you can get them in your choices of colors and fabrics. They're very, very comfortable. They don't take up a lot of room. The theater seats that we carry, made by Palliser as well, they've got bigger arms for cup holders and everything. These have a much more sleek design. So even if you have a full room, they lend itself to getting to be in the room without taking up too much room.
Well, and folks, whether you're looking to build out a home theater, they can help you do that at Cohen's, or maybe you're looking to build out a kitchen or have the top end when it comes to that washer and dryer. They do it all there at Cohen's when it comes to electronics and appliances. You could always look at thinkcohens.com, like I am right now, thinkcohens.com. Or I really encourage you to stop by the Boulevard, 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery, open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. I really do appreciate it, Michael, and we look forward to sending more folks your way.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank y'all. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too,
sir. Michael.
272-9228. So we've got only like a couple minutes for the top of the hour break. Is anything broken in the news?
Besides 65 North being backed up all the way to Montgomery.
And Craig, you were saying that it was that way when you drove in.
Oh yeah. And not only that, but there was also an accident right on the number 4 exit So I thought I was going to be tardy, but alas, I was not. But yeah, it was actually even before that. It was slowed down about 10:30.
Oh wow!
When I was coming back from getting me and my son got a haircut, so I was taking him home, and I got on 65, and it was pretty slow. But then on the way back to head up here, it was stopped for a hot minute. So I have no idea why. I didn't see an accident.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps telling me. Nobody's seen an accident. It's just backed up.
Yeah, traffic has a memory.
Honestly, that's why we'll go to Birmingham. Some restaurants in Birmingham really nice, but it's such a challenge because we know you're going to have some kind of traffic holdup on the way there, and it's usually for hours on end. We need to 4-lane that sucker.
Yes, Donald Trump promised to do that. He
Yes,
promised to widen 65.
I agree with Ainsworth. I'm
Bring
there.
it.
Yeah.
Like, we need to widen 65.
No doubt.
Because if the West Alabama Highway was going to go through, I'm like, hey, can we look at property records who just bought up a bunch of land right there?
Also, with that West Alabama Highway, that's a dream. We're building that hoping they will come. We already got this, and it's backed up and bottlenecked. Let's fix this.
Right. And especially if you're trying to build out the port and having your main vein up in north-south of the state being clogged up all the livelong day. And it really is bad once you get to Birmingham.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is it clears up.
It clears up, and you
As
never
you
see
get
the
past
wreck.
Birmingham, it just clears up. And going to, last time I went to Decatur to see my brother when they were living up there, it was like, oh, hey, that was easy sailing. Birmingham, though, was the bottleneck.
Yep, big time. Around here, it's once you get past Clanton, Calera, all that, that's something always happens.
I know.
Frustrating.
So let's make it wider.
Agreed.
How do you think this session's going, Craig? As you've been over there every live-long day.
Yeah, I mean they've done some good things. They obviously think stuff has gotten delayed because of the IVF debacle, and then gaming is all but stalled out. They have the potential to do some decent stuff coming up, but it never ceases to be frustrating when you realize that all the important discussions have already taken place in a smoke-filled room with very powerful people and powerful lobbyists.
And the more I see reaction to the IVF thing in national news and after these elections, it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because this was, as we've talked about, this was bound to happen with the industry. Everybody in the industry knew this was an ethical dilemma and a legal one at that. And Alabama just forced everybody's hand. Stop looking the other way. And I know some people who, for a fact, are engaging in IVF right now. They're not getting any younger and they're trying to have a child. And I talked to them and said, well, what would y'all think if somebody destroyed your embryos?
Right.
How would you feel about it? And that's what this case was about. For it to somehow become about abortion, essentially, nationally, it's just...
Well, it's a disingenuous tactic by people that have a political ideology, and they've made one thing about another. And this goes back to our criticism of democracy earlier. There's enough idiots to give it wings so they can fly their fabricated airplane of nonsense around until it makes enough noise that people feel like they have to react.
It's always good to be reminded, folks, that just because everybody agrees doesn't mean everybody's right.
Correct. Christopher Hitchens had a great quote one time. He said, "Don't take comfort in the false security of consensus."
Amen. We got to hit this top of the hour break. Final hour on a Good Friday when we come back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Hundreds of Christians participated in a customary Good Friday procession through the limestone walls of Jerusalem's Old City, commemorating one of the faith's most sacred days, with noticeably thinner crowds amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will return to the table for ceasefire talks with Hamas. Several earlier rounds of negotiations have faltered. The Russian state news agency says 9 people have been detained by Tajikistan's state security service over suspected contact with the perpetrators of last week's horrendous attack by gunmen on a suburban Moscow concert hall that killed some 144 people. Those detained also suspected of having connections with the Islamic State group. This is SRN News.
Our government has engorged itself on borrowed money. Now we are over $30 trillion in debt. If this bubble finally implodes, many Americans would be left penniless and heartbroken. For example, what happens if state and federal pension funds go broke, or if 401ks and IRAs get cut in half due to hyperinflation? Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, news analyst, best-selling author, and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. People who understand something big is coming. Now's the time to prepare with a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Precious metals are among the most proven hedges you can make, and they're even better inside a tax advantage account. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached, so just text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray you are blessed with continued prosperity.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by the Johnny Adams Law Firm. They want you to stay safe on the road. Please don't text and drive. Get to your destination safely. Your family and friends will thank you. From the Johnny Adams Law Firm.
Hi, everybody. An absolutely picture postcard perfect Easter weekend forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy, a little cool, overnight low temperature in the mid-40s, but a nice recovery tomorrow. Upper 70s on Saturday, 83 on Easter Sunday. Sunshine for the weekend. Just a beautiful forecast with a high in the mid-80s Monday, still dry. And the next risk of scattered showers and thunderstorms returning on Tuesday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
1819 News.
A state lawmaker who was opposed to the gambling bill coming from the Alabama House now says that he would vote for the state Senate's version of that bill. State Representative Reed Ingram was on Montgomery's 93.1 News and Views with Joey Clark. He suggests that the Alabama House concur with the Senate changes and pass the bill rather than take it to a conference session.
Well, the Senate passed it and sent it back to us with just the enforcement piece, the lottery. I'm not ever going to vote for anything but giving the people a chance just to vote on the lottery. I don't think we need casinos from one end of the state to the other end of the state, up and down the interstates. It just doesn't look good. And plus it's really bad on our state. It's to me, it's a tax on poor people. It's a tax on people that have addiction problems. It's a tax on, people that really are looking for a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and you're never going to get it.
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
Auburn University is now reaching out to students at Birmingham Southern College to help them find a new educational route for obtaining a degree after BSC announced a complete closure at the end of this May. Auburn is also offering an expedited transfer process to these students, as the University of Alabama offered earlier this week. This includes waiving the application fee for students and virtual planning meetings with Auburn's admissions committee. I'm Andrea Tyson.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
I'm with Miss Dot at the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall. How was your anniversary sale, Dot?
It was just wonderful, and I want to thank everybody that came out. It was a great time. It meant so much to me for it to be 30 years, and y'all just came out and made my day.
Well, spring is almost here. Is Eastbrook ready?
We're beginning to get the patio tables and chairs out. We've got so much there, it's hard to put it into a minute commercial. You just got to come see what we got. We've got 3 floors and 60,000 square feet. So just come see us, because we probably got a sale or two going, and our merchandise is pretty reasonable, I think. We don't charge a commission to the vendors, and so our prices are able to be a little bit less than some other places.
Give us those hours of operation.
Monday through Friday, 10 until 6. Saturday, 9 until 6. And Sunday is 12:30 to 4:30.
That's the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, 425 Coliseum Boulevard.
So y'all come on by and see us. We'd love to have you.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the Afternoon, or as we call it online, Joey Clark Live. Appreciate all the love. Just go to Joey Clark Live on YouTube, like and subscribe. We hit over 8,000 subscribers last night.
Nice.
Very cool. And we're getting more and more folks watching on the X platform. I really do love the love. I'll say the exact numbers. 168 people watching on X, given that we were having like one or two just a few months ago. Yeah, I do appreciate everybody tuning in and all the support I'm getting from a few folks like Patriots are out there.
Heck of a growth spurt there, Joey.
It's cool. It's fun to watch. And I think this year is only going to get crazier. But one thing that, Cat Williams called it, Cat Williams really did call it, is the Diddy raid. And now there are more details coming out. People have been sifting through these lawsuits.
Yeah.
And now wondering what the feds are actually looking into. But in the wake of recent civil complaints filed against the Diddler, sources are telling the New York Post that Sean Diddy Combs has a history of wielding money and power to get others to do his dirty work. Sure.
Yeah. No surprise there, right?
So what other people carried out acts for him, and he kept his hands clean. An insider told the Post. By the way, if you ever have like an anonymous source and wants to remain anonymous, do you just say anonymous source, or do you say like insider or expert? Or...
No, I'll typically say explain why. If I keep their identity anonymous, I'll explain why, like for their protection or for to prevent deleterious effects to their job, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't just say an insider said, because that literally could just be like, how do you know? Like,
yeah, somebody familiar with the situation.
Yeah, that's another one that I hate. It's like someone in the area, like that's okay, or someone close to this person, that's fine. But someone familiar with the situation is like, how do you verify that?
Right, and it could be somebody familiar with it who has no inside knowledge whatsoever. But
my name's J-Rod. I took out his trash last week and I saw some craziness.
I cut the grass.
Yeah.
A lawsuit filed by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones
Lil Rod
in February. What was that, gentleman?
Lil Rod.
Was amended this week with blockbuster allegations about Combs paying women cash for sex and having people on payroll carry drugs for him. Jones, who previously worked with the Diddler, alleged last month that the rapper sexually harassed, drugged, and threatened him for over a year. Wait, sexually harassed, drugged, and then threatened him. And if it was over a year...
probably quit.
That's what I was thinking. If you let it go on a year.
Like my boss, Brian Dawson, he has drugged me 0 times. But if he ever did, I would no longer be under his employ.
Right. So that is your limit, right?
That is my limit.
That's
You
the
can
line.
drug me. Like sexual harassment, I'll be like, hey, listen here, you scam. But the drugging, no. Not only would that require me to surrender a lot of well-earned chips, but
I don't think I would ever work for a boss that I had to worry about drugging me a second time.
Yeah.
What's that movie that came out? Jason Sudeikis, Charlie Day, Horrible Bosses.
Yeah.
What if you did have like an attractive female boss, but you're like, say you're married, you're not trying to do anything, and she's constantly coming on to you?
I would quit.
Joey. It was so rough. It was so rough.
See, this is the tone I'm talking about.
I managed to get
Oh,
through.
it was so how terrible for you.
Oh, it was. It was.
It was. What happened?
No, I would literally, I would just scream at her at the top of my lungs anytime she got crazy, almost like Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man, and start slapping myself in the head until she was no longer attracted to me. If I was in the homeboy situation in the movie, because he couldn't get a job anywhere else because he was like, what was he on a registry for peeing on a kid's playground?
Yep.
So he was in a bit of a prickly situation.
Yeah, something like that. But also remember, folks, that Cat Williams did call all of this.
Deviance is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
The fact that he name dropped Diddy in that interview.
Well, that's not too hard to do because
Right.
P. Diddy has been like a skinny Suge Knight for a long time.
Right. Well, and so let's get into some of these details here. Rapper Mark Curry, who was signed to Combs Bad Boy Records in the early aughts, said of Diddy, he's surrounded by movers and shakers. When you think of the music industry, a lot of illegal things go on behind closed doors. He took advantage of a lot of people who had dreams. So here's a look at Diddy's inner circle.
All right.
The drug mules. Jones' amended complaint alleges that Combs' ex-girlfriend, Young Miami, Young spelled Y-U-N-G.
They do that from time to time.
Who's that?
They.
The entertainment people?
Yeah, hip-hop folks.
Right.
They misspell words for no good reason.
She is 30, ex-girlfriend is 30, carried so-called, quote-unquote, pink cocaine, said to be a mix of cocaine and cheaper substances that can include ketamine, MDMA, or opioids, and also known as Tusi, across state lines for him.
Is it spelled T-U-C-I?
T-U-S-I.
Huh.
So Tussie?
Tussie, I thought.
I've never heard that.
I never heard of it. I thought
Yeah.
Tussie.
And I'm
Maybe
kind of an expert in
Tussie would be good short for Robitussin.
That's kind of what I figured.
Hey,
it was
bro,
going.
you on a robo trip tonight?
I'm not 14 years old anymore, Joe. We don't do that anymore.
I did do that. I did it, but it wasn't Robitussin. It was what was it? Chlorcetins. You took about 10 to 15 chlorcetin pills, and you were. I went and saw a horror movie in that state. I would not recommend it.
Dude. Now, according to the court documents, Combs wanted Tussie for a private jet flight from Miami to the Something in the Water Music Festival in Virginia, but Brendan, Paul, Diddy's alleged drug mule, forgot it. Oh, no. And there are pictures of the pink cocaine.
You had one job.
Yeah, you had one job.
One
to do.
job, man.
Christina Karam, Combs' chief of staff, phoned Brown Lee, who then brought it on a private jet from Miami. The complaint alleges Plaintiff Jones personally witnessed Mr. Combs do a few lines of coke in his dressing room. Well, that's it's not that shocking.
Right.
Diddy and R&B singer Chris Brown were surprise guests during Pharrell Williams' set at the 2023 festival. City Girls rapper Young Miami, whose real name is Carissa Ramika Brown Lee, was reportedly in an open relationship with Combs. Those always last.
Yeah.
From 2021 until late last year, during which Diddy had a child with another woman, a model named Dana Tran. Getting close, bro.
Getting very close.
Meanwhile, Monday saw the arrest of Brendan Paul, Combs' alleged forgetful drug mule, at the Miami airport on Monday as he attempted to board a private jet with the rapper.
Yeah.
He was slapped with a felony charge of 1 count of possession of suspected cocaine and suspected marijuana edibles, according to an arrest report obtained by the Post.
On a private jet?
Yeah.
Someone snitched.
Yeah. Well, and the fact everybody's like, well, Diddy hadn't been arrested. I'm like, no, because they're getting all the evidence to arrest him. They know if you're going to go off the...
They can't leave the country.
Right. Paul, 25, played basketball at Syracuse University and became a music producer during the pandemic, getting a gig with Combs after his hoops career didn't take off. He was a producer for Diddy's The Love album, released last September, and posted photos from the album release party boasting red rose petals and love-inspired drinks. Before the drug bust, he was living large, jet-setting with Combs on the rapper's all-black G550 Gulfstream jet.
It's a nice jet.
I'm looking at a picture. That's
Wow.
that's a badass jet.
G5, buddy.
Another Combs employee allegedly paid for the rapper's drugs and guns, according to the lawsuit. Now, that's just the drug mules. Now we're on to the sex workers. The complaint alleges that Combs kept at least 2 women on his payroll for sex. Instagram influencer Jade Ramey, who describes herself as a certified wellness coach. was allegedly paid a monthly stipend by Combs for sex work. And there are photos here included. Document also claims that rapper 50 Cent's ex, OnlyFans Daphne Joy, was one of the 3 women, including Brown Lee, that Combs bragged about paying a monthly stipend for sex. It is unclear if they were provided the appropriate United States federal tax documents for these payments, or if they independently declared these payments on their taxes. 50 Cent reacted to the news on Instagram Thursday. Yo, this is a movie. This crap is a movie. This shaving cream's a movie. The claim that I am a sex worker is 100% false and character assassination, Joy posted on Instagram Thursday. The complaint also claims Combs used his power and influence to intimidate and force Mr. Jones, who solicited into soliciting and sleeping with sex workers from the Booby Trap Gentlemen's Club in Miami. And that if Jones didn't do what Combs wanted, the rapper threatened to eat his face. What does that even mean? And said he was willing to kill Jones's mother. Well, I know what that means. Wow. And the story goes on and on and on, but apparently Cuba Gooding Jr., Mr. Show Me the Money, got all caught up in this. Jones' complaint accuses Jerry Maguire actor Cuba Gooding Jr., who's now 56, of sexual assault.
Well, he's got a little history himself.
Claiming the Oscar winner began touching, groping, and fondling his legs, his upper inner thighs near his groin. Well, we do that all the time.
No, we do not. Don't put that out there.
I've seen it. Don't let Eddie lie to you. I've seen it.
Yeah, but we're just it's like a tickle thing. It's like what
I
guys
violated
do.
an NDA, man. I violated an NDA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but began touching, groping, and fondling his legs, his upper inner thighs near his groin, the small of his back near his buttocks. We know how anatomy works.
We know how fondling happens. But at what point do these people, like, I almost have so little sympathy for men that complain about this, because like that's why God gave you fists.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Chris.
Right. And you can accept the charges of assault later.
Yeah,
and explain why you hit the guy.
If they even come, because typically
Right.
if you're fondling another dude and he cracks you upside the head, you tend to kind of be like, all's fair.
Yeah. But let that go.
Fair play. Turnabout's fair play.
Wow.
You could have just said no.
The poor diddler. I say
How-
that
How high do you think
ironically.
this goes, though?
What do you mean, how high?
It keeps getting more people. Like it got Cuba today in this whole segment.
Well, here's a breakdown. The New York Post has it like just bullet points.
Okay.
Here's what we know about allegations against the diddler. Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami were raided by Homeland Security. Amid possible connection with an ongoing sex trafficking investigation, authorities targeted the rapper's homes to seize phones and computers. Combs was spotted outside of Miami airport, slowly strolling back and forth Monday, just hours after the raids. Brendan Paul, the music producer and basketball player, was arrested on drug charges at that same airport.
Yep.
Before boarding Combs' private jet. At least 4 Jane Does and 1 John Doe have been interviewed by New York prosecutors in connection to sex trafficking allegations and a RICO case. Combs, RICO is not a crime, it's a category. Oh, I got to find that AOC clip. One of my favorites she's put out. She's just dropping hit after hit.
Yeah. My question is here is like, what the sex trafficking thing does that count if you just like fly a hooker to a different state or a different country?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Yeah, because I'm not quite sure the statute, because it typically can just be involved for you know whatever. Didn't they try to go after like Matt Gaetz for something like that?
Or they tried to say he was making payments to OnlyFans models to come hang out with people.
Okay, but they called that human trafficking.
Right. Well, and they called it human trafficking when Bob Kraft was going and getting a little, happy ending down at the massage places. And it's like a lot of this can be spun up by authority, and they do it for good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they try to hit people with the hardest they can.
The term prostitution don't get the attention that human trafficking does.
Right. Because when you think of human trafficking, you think of somebody who's literally being held against their will to do things.
Right.
But Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassandra Ventura, filed a lawsuit against him in November of 2023 on several allegations, including rape and physical abuse over a decade. Combs and Cassie settled the lawsuit one day after she filed it. In November 2023, the rapper was accused of drugging, filming, and sexually assaulting a woman on a date in 1991. The lawsuit describes how Combs drove the alleged victim to a music studio where she could not get out of the car before taking her to a place he was staying to sexually assault her. A third woman filed a lawsuit against the celebrity in November 2023, claiming that he and singer-songwriter Aaron Hall took turns sexually assaulting her and a friend in the early 90s. The woman listed as Jane Doe in the lawsuit claimed that a couple days after the assault, Combs came to the home where she and her friend were staying and violently attacked her. In December of 2023, Combs was hit with a fourth sexual assault lawsuit that accused him and others of sexually assaulting a 17-year-old girl at his New York City recording studio after drugging her and supplying her with alcohol. Phew. That's a lot. And then you add to those lawsuits the fact that the feds are that style of raid and immediately seizing phones and computers. Yeah, there might be something very much to this.
Yeah, I think there kind of has to be, because not just because, I mean, because you can get sued by 80 people and it still doesn't mean that you did anything wrong.
Right.
But the fact that they don't, people in the music industry, they get a pass more than anything.
Well, certainly.
Say, you know, rock stars have been allowed to do all sorts of craziness and never get arrested in the past. But for the feds to come in with this much of a heavy hand, they have to have at least something.
Well, I think a lot of it too was that lawsuit that got settled the next day.
Right.
The next day.
Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Right.
Deviance is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
Let's go to Roger. Hey, Roger.
Roger.
Man, we talk about Jesus when I get out of the truck, and we talking about rappers, drugs, and sex when I get back. Craig, can you not do something with them?
I try to, but I mean, I think Diddy needs Jesus as much as everyone else, and actually a little bit more at the moment.
If Eddie starts groping Joey, I want you to knock him into next week.
Please, I do too. I want you to knock me into next week too if I start groping
You know,
Joey,
I
please.
didn't hear these same protests when it was actually happening.
But I think, Craig, you have a show on NPR later in the afternoon, don't you?
I would sooner receive a molten glass enema than have a
He'd
show
rather
for
be groped by
NPR.
Eddie than do that.
Yeah, but no, I do not.
Well, you should. You fit that genre, that,
Thanks.
that slow talk, big words that nobody understands. That makes sense to anybody. Just that, I'm telling you, it could be all things for labor, just featuring.
I wish you were here so I could kick dirt on your shoes.
No, it's great having your own, Craig, because I've been accused of talking in cursive for years now. So it's good to have somebody else who could even up it.
I occasionally do engage in a bit of pedantic floxy-noxy-nihilipilification.
I'm challenging that word. We're playing Scrabble. We're putting the challenge down right now.
Oh, no.
And when we get AI, we'll be able to understand the damn words. So that's what he was talking about. Obviously, only Red Top understands him now. 'Cause he's super Catholic and then turns around and denies the tenets of the faith. I really like that.
Red Top proves that there is such a thing as too much cocaine.
That's not his drug. No.
But yeah, go back to the Jesus talk or the bouncy chick that's doing country music now. I woke up to that this morning on NPR.
Wait, the which chick?
The bouncy chick?
Oh,
Beyonce.
Doing country, and I was like, who cares? I mean,
good music.
I don't
Good
know.
music.
She's the wealthiest woman on the planet. I mean, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people do. I'm not a Beyonce fan. When you were talking about the witch chick, were you talking about the chick that's been all over Twitter, covered in like bones and leaves, like singing about ayahuasca?
Oh, I think I've seen this. She would be cute other than the face tattoos.
No. I mean, you're
Maybe I'm
standard
thinking somebody else.
Well, I don't know. He thinks AOC is hot.
She's objectively attractive.
She
Yeah.
looks like she smells really bad. Not AOC, but the hippie chick.
That's probably true.
we cut Joey off the testosterone till he admits AOC.
No, the other day I said I was going to pretend to be a tree so I could at least get a hug from one of those tree huggers. Like it's
Well,
been a
baby,
while.
you gonna have to go full-fledged 9/11 on the sex. If you know that statement is 18 to 80 blind, crippled, or crazy, you got to solve your problem there, Joey. Come on.
Speaking of not being able to understand one another.
We're on two different plateaus. You don't understand me, and I sure don't.
Here we are, Ebony and Ivory, living together in perfect harmony.
I do understand when you've been talking about the Bible because I've been there, and I tell you what, practical application, your faith will get tested. Let me tell you a quick story.
Sure.
3 generations, 7-year-old man, 50-year-old man, 31-year-old son. Leave out Mobile, February, going tuna fishing. About 60 miles out, the boat fills water and flips. It is a seal gone bad. So they're in the water, 3 of them, which nothing but the bows hanging up. They finally figure out how to get 2 of them on the hull, but when they try to get the old man on the hull, they're sliding in. He won't let them. He knows if they get back in the water, they're done. So they begged him to try to get on the boat, and he pushed off. Quoted a verse. I know who I've believed in and persuaded that he's able to keep me until that day, and pushed off the boat. The Coast Guard was there within about 45 minutes, but the water was frigid. So that kind of proves the fact that greater love has when you lay down your life. He wanted his son to see his grandchildren the way he had seen his grandchildren. So I'd pretty much say that's faith tested, set in steel, and I try every day as hard as I can to beat that man.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that story, Roger.
Thank you, Roger.
Happy Easter. 272-9228. We got to hit this break here. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group. Selling a home in the river region in this market takes some planning and preparation to be successful. Here are some steps to take to get your home sold fast. Remember the 5 Ps. Prepare the home, fresh coat of paint inside and out, and complete any repairs needed. Professionally clean the home. A deep cleaning of floors, cabinets, windows, and blinds will leave a great impression for future buyers. Provide a home warranty for the buyer to give the buyer peace of mind after the closing. Provide a closing cost allowance for the buyer to help them be able to afford your home. Price your home to sell, not sit. A comparative market analysis from a local realtor will demonstrate what other properties have sold for in your neighborhood. Well-priced homes sell faster with less hassle. Houses are selling fast and sellers are getting top dollar. For all the answers, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group, 221-2883 or 551-0225.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, from the moment we pick up the phone, you will hear the difference. We are passionate about what we do. To us, you're not just another applicant. When you call on us, you are trusting that we have your best interest at heart, and we do. We treat our customers like family, and that's why our customers turn into family, coming back to us time and time again. We know you have many options when it comes to mortgage financing, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. We are excited to hear from you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our passion is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586, 36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From a little fender bender to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For over 35 years, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather. Hi, everybody. An absolutely picture postcard perfect Easter weekend forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy, a little cool, overnight low temperature in the mid-40s, but a nice recovery tomorrow. Upper 70s on Saturday, 83 on Easter Sunday, sunshine for the weekend. Just a beautiful forecast with a high in the mid-80s Monday, still dry, and the next risk of scattered showers and thunderstorms returning on Tuesday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE Credit Union makes auto loans easy with rates as low as 4.75% APR. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE. If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy?
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon.
That's Zach Wild on the axe? God have mercy.
Nah, man. That was me having fun.
Very own Joey Clark.
Wow.
Yeah, I was having a lot of fun that day.
That was a very Zach Wild sound that you had there, though.
I learned if I don't overthink it, if I just make a drum beat, throw the bass, throw the guitar on, just go. Don't think, just improvise and go. Usually works out. But I got to start playing with others. I'm getting a little tired of just playing with myself. Let's go to a clip that came out last night, I guess. This is Prattville's own Caitlin Collins of CNN.
Sorry, what?
A little gassy today, are we?
With Mayor, well, now Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Hi.
And, well, they're talking about the Baltimore Bridge collapse and everything that went on there, but she has to ask him about conspiracy theories. Let's listen in to our corporate bettors.
Ask you about something that I guess we shouldn't be surprised by anymore, but almost immediately after this ship hit this bridge and the bridge collapsed, there were these wild conspiracy theories about what really happened. I mean, they ranged from a cyber attack to the captain having side effects from the COVID vaccine. They even blamed the Obamas at one point. And I just wonder, as a sitting cabinet secretary, if you ever thought that you'd have to combat something like that when dealing with a crisis.
You know, we're in the business of dealing with roads and bridges and sometimes ships and trains. We are not in the habit as a Department of Transportation of being in the business of dealing with conspiracies or conspiracy theories or that kind of wild thinking. But unfortunately, it is a fact of life in America today. What's really upsetting, of course, is that when misinformation or disinformation circulates, that is not without victims. Remember, this is a human tragedy.
Yeah, it is. It is a tragedy. Misinformation and disinformation spreads.
Needs to be a law.
Well, and why this flourishing of conspiracy theories? Because that is true. There has been a flourishing of conspiracy
Because
thought.
they keep coming true.
Well, there's that. To get the ones that are actually conspiracy fact. It's just history.
The Simpsons sees it coming.
Right.
But the fact is, if you watch the video of what went down and you tell me that it doesn't look very much like someone drove intentionally into that.
Right.
I'm not saying they did, but that's the way that it looks. Just like Tower 7 definitely looks like a controlled demolition. I'm not saying it was. I don't think it was, but it sure as heck looks like one.
But just that segment, them talking about these shameful people with their conspiracy theories. My question for Caitlin Collins would be, has the corporate media, has CNN, I'm not saying you have, Caitlin, but has CNN ever lied and spread misinformation, disinformation, say about war or COVID, or anything?
Or a sitting president.
Right.
Has, I would say to Buttigieg, has the government ever spread misinformation or disinformation?
Funny you say that about Buttigieg. It was about 2 years ago that he got caught on a day he was supposed to be bicycling to work. They had the SUV drop him off 2 blocks before wherever he worked, and he biked in from there.
Right.
And had no shame in that whatsoever.
But my point is that obviously this is bigger than any of us in this room or Caitlin Collins or Pete Buttigieg. But the reason you see a flourishing of conspiracy is because we don't believe you anymore. Right. Because you have constantly gone to the well, or I'll put it this way, you've constantly cried wolf. Mm-hmm. And now the sad part is at the end of, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, what the wolf actually shows up, right?
Yep.
And so that's what I think is the biggest worry, that I'll be blunt, there are some folks out there that I do worry about, especially on Twitter. I see the rise of anti-Semitism, for instance. I think and I'm not using it to accuse anybody of anything. It's more folks who are like outright, Nick Fuentes, for instance, outright anti-Semitic. And if you remember your history, say the old German right, the old German aristocrats, the writers like Ernst Jünger, a lot of these folks that ran the old German realm, say turn of the 20th century, they look down on anti-Semitism as this peasant thought. It's a joke. So I'm not somebody who thinks, if you question our holy democracy, then you're automatically a Nazi. But I am a little worried when I see, when people don't trust the system, awful things can spread. Yep. And so I think as much as they want to blame everybody else from desk or from a government bureau, we're going to fight misinformation. No, y'all are the main source of this breakdown of trust.
And I actually think that this is my conspiracy. I think that's intentional. I think they want to push people to the extremes when there's not a figurehead or an establishment that you can trust to give proper information. Then you are inevitably going to have a lot of stragglers that are looking for somewhere, and they can find someone in a Nick Fuentes type who says at least some things that they see some truth in.
Right.
And then they just buy the whole farm along with it.
Sad.
It's the same thing with like that. This has been my concern for the longest time, even with the book debate, the library book debate. People are being like, well, Hitler burned books, so do you want to be like Hitler? And people are saying, well, if the choice is between showing dinglings to children and being more like Hitler, I think I'm going to be more like Hitler. Right. So they're intentionally radicalizing people.
But it's a false choice.
Correct. Oh, obviously,
Right.
obviously. But there's people that buy into that false choice, and I think the dichotomy is played exactly that way because they need to create the monsters that they've been telling us about for the longest time.
Amen. And unfortunately, some people do fill that monster mold very quickly.
And lost boys who need fathers, intellectual fathers, spiritual fathers, actual fathers. And whenever you have a generation of men raised by women, they'll find their father, unfortunately these days, on Twitter. And if you can find a father who's willing to say the things that nobody else in your life is willing to say, then you'll typically follow that person through thick and thin. And that's why people like a Nick Fuentes get the following that they do, because like I said, he says some things that are true objectively, and then they're like, well, nobody else is talking about these things, so this person has the bravery to say the things that you're not allowed to say.
And it doesn't help whether it's the accusation of anti-Semitism or the accusation of racism that's constantly thrown at folks, that you're using it so much. Again, I go back to The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Yeah.
You're eventually going to run up against a wolf.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to be prepared for it. And I don't want to see that. I think anybody who likes peace and civilization and prosperity doesn't want to see that. But yeah, there are a lot of lost souls out there that'll grip into any sort of leadership. And it's just a shame where we're going with all this.
Big shame.
It really is. 272-9228. Now, I've been sitting on this particular clip for a while because I think last week Ron Paul sat down with Tucker Carlson.
Oh.
And Dr. Paul was asked, like, when did you know, like, the Republic was kind of shot through?
Oh, yeah.
And, well, let's listen in.
In all of your time in Congress, did you ever come across other members of Congress you served with who said, wow, the CIA was involved in Kennedy's assassination? Was this widely known on Capitol Hill when you served there?
I never heard anybody say that.
Anybody?
Well, probably heard my close friends.
It's just funny that, again, now I think people recognize that that's true, but that was 60 years ago, and our lawmakers never talk about it.
But you mentioned to me earlier and brought back in memory, but do you know who they appointed to the commission? Alan Dulles.
He was on the Warren Commission.
Yeah.
So the guy who's
investigating.
responsible for the murder.
Yeah, probably was the most.
Was investigating the murder.
That's dawned on me. The Republic is gone. That's when I said the day it ended. It was eroding from the beginning of the last century,
Yes.
with the philosophic changes. But I think it's still. Well, what about that former FBI or CIA agent said we were taught to lie, cheat, and steal, and then he giggled, and the crowd clapped, and he was making fun of it. So.
It does make you wonder if people want to be free.
It's a quote. It's a Mencken quote. I think Michael Malice constantly repeats that the average man doesn't want to be free. He simply wants to be safe. And but it's amazing to see how much Ron Paul is vindicated. As much as he was mocked when he ran for president by official Republicans and conservatives, and there are still going to be disagreements. But I think there are a lot of, I hope, people on the right and center, and I'd imagine some folks on the left who might say vote for an RFK Jr., who are seeing through this. Well, what do you think about that latest pick, the Nicole Shanahan pick?
The most inexplicably stupid move of any political figure that I've seen in a while. I think that position was bought. I think that's the only explanation for it. I didn't know who she was until I had to look her up after seeing that he chose her as his VP. And the whole event was just a clustercluck. It made zero sense. And the conspiracy theorist in me wants to say that someone got to him and said, hey, sabotage your own campaign.
That's what I was going to ask you. You think it was
right? Because I know he's smarter than that.
Well, and I was thinking, maybe she's like an impressive speaker. And as I tried to listen to her, I'm like, no.
She's shrill and poorly lettered.
Right. I was like, what are you doing, Robert? But
I don't know. I don't know. But I still, if I need to feel good about myself, I will go watch those old presidential debates when Ron Paul absolutely smushed everyone on the stage, including Newt Gingrich, which isn't easy to do.
Right.
On the Iraq War. I think that was. I still go back and listen to those because he was just so bold in the way that he did what he did.
Right, and he got it hardcore from Rudy Giuliani and all these folks. Think about post 9/11. If you suggested the idea of blowback, and that's what it's amazing. Who's the guy? He goes by Martyr Maid on Twitter.
Oh yeah. I don't.
He does a podcast sometimes with Jocko Willink, and there's one he did with Scott Horton, where they go through American foreign policy, and you will probably know some of the things, folks, if you've been paying attention, especially if you've been working within the military during those times. But if you say start the clock in the early 80s, and you look at how much the United States and what we did in the Middle East did bear the fruit of the terrorism we suffered later, it's kind of undeniable. And yet, if you bring that up, even to certain Americans these days, you just hate America. Yep. And it's like, is this, to your point, sometimes in a democracy, you might be the smartest man in the room, but if everybody else is dumber than you and disagrees, you're the dumbest one in the room.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing when you bring up American funding Al-Qaeda. It's the same thing as if you bring up Israel funding ISIS, which they did, by the way. Then, or actually, funnily enough, Israel funding Hamas, which they also did. Yeah. Then that's seen as anti-Semitic, the same way they're breaking up the fact that the United States funded Al-Qaeda is supposed to be anti-American. It's like these are hate facts.
Right. And Israel, I think there was a quote from an Israeli ambassador in that 2014-2015 period as Syria's starting to just blow up. They preferred the chaos of the Sunni extremists, ISIS and Al-Nusra Front and all this stuff, to the Iranians and the Shia proxies being on their doorstep.
Well, when ISIS accidentally, I can't remember if it was a missile strike on a base or actually in Israel, but it struck some Israelis. They launched a missile attack and it struck some Israelis. ISIS apologized. When's the last time you saw ISIS apologize? It's like, no, we were just actually going after the Syrians. So sorry, my apologies.
Right. Well, and there were folks in Israeli politics, including Netanyahu, who thought, well, Hamas can be a wedge, a counterbalance to the Palestinian Authority. And, well, it's kind of blown up in their faces.
But the fact is, it's just... Oh, never mind.
It's complicated, though. I think there are a lot of Americans that aren't willing to accept whether it's the Middle East or what we're seeing in Eastern Europe with Ukraine and the Russians, that the politics in those areas it's much more brutal, corrupt, and complicated and complex than you're willing to believe.
Well, that's just life in general in a lot of those areas.
Well, and maybe you should apply that own sort of critical eye to your own country.
Sure.
I think American politics is a lot more corrupt and violent,
You just
brutal,
don't like
and complex.
America, do you?
Right.
Well, it's a sanitized kind of violence. The same way that we have sanitized warfare now. It's like, oh, you know, when we were talking at the beginning of the show about people being conscripted in the military, and you know, everyone plays video games, so maybe they can do drone flying piloting. And I was like, yeah, that's the best thing. That's what we need is people who are already disassociated. Let's give a generation of disassociated murderers control of let's just.
I got a whole drone army on ketamine over here.
Yeah, just like some Adderall up 350-pound kid sitting behind a laptop just blowing brown kids out of existence. That's gonna end well for society.
Right. Well, it's in Shane Gillis's new stand-up where he's talking about the general with the dog mask, and he's like, people thought, "Oh, look at our military getting weak." He's like, "No, dude, that seems like pretty scary. Like you got a dog general going, send the missiles in." And I'm like, okay, that is a little freaky. We do have to hit this break, but first, this part of the program again brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And I did not know this until recently. There are now studies that show that men will be more irritable and argumentative before bed just to avoid failing at intimacy. So the reality is pills often quit working and guys start making excuses for not, say, coming or going to bed. And there at Montgomery Men's Health, they can help you with that sort of issue, erectile dysfunction, or maybe you have a more generalized problem with low testosterone. Nothing to deny, put off, be ashamed about, not something to wait to get fixed. Guys hate going to the doctor, but Montgomery Men's Health was created to take care of guys just like us who kind of, hesitate, cringe at, oh, I don't want to go. I'm fine.
That's a man.
But if you're a fellow out there, or maybe you're a lady and you're noticing this in your man, you're seeing no motivation, lack of energy, always tired, perhaps unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, even a decrease in sex drive, or maybe you just feel like you're walking through life in a fog. Well, knowing whether or not you have low T is huge in combating some of these issues. So the providers of Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. And they have low T treatments there that can truly change lives. Men can experience higher energy, better gains at the gym. Brother. Right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism. You usually even notice an increased libido.
That's all right, Joey.
It's quite all right. Thank you, Eddie. You can actually book the same day that you call. Guys, it's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. That number, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hi, this is Sharon with the Depot Furniture Gallery. Choosing to advertise with Blue Water was an easy decision to make. Our goal was to increase sales, and they reached the audience that we wanted to connect with. Our sales rep has been great to work with, and we couldn't be happier with the results.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the #1 reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the River region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
The Health and Wealth Show. The Health and Wealth Show. The show so nice, we said it twice. Weekday evenings at 6 on News Talk 93.1 WACV. The Health.
Break it up, son. Joke's over, hey?
In Alabama, more than 200,000 of our friends and neighbors are living without health coverage. Often folks can't stay healthy enough to keep their jobs. We need to fix this. Contact Governor Kay Ivey and let her know. Now is the time to close the coverage gap and cover Alabama.
Paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Closing up shop here pretty soon, and replay for Greg Budell today as he travels down to New Orleans to see Goose.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's looking forward to that. Before we get into our last segment here, this part of the program brought to you by Prattville Carpet. And, Ray Bowles and the team there are ready to help you folks out with any resurfacing job you need, including, of course, in the name, carpet. They can also do traditional hardwood installs, laminate products. The luxury vinyl plank is fantastic. You've seen that stuff, Craig, where it looks like hardwood, but it's a little more forgiving?
Yeah, that's what's in my house.
Oh, yeah.
And you're very familiar with it.
It's great. So, especially with the kid, you spill something, it's not going to be the end of the world by any means. And, of course, they can also do ceramic tile there at Prattville Carpet. So maybe you're looking to remodel the bathroom or the kitchen. Prattville Carpet can help you out. So what you need to do is call them at 285-8117 and ask about a free in-home measurement. They'll literally go the extra mile, come to you. They'll even bring samples. But what they do is they measure, and then once you pick out the product you want to resurface, they'll know exactly how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take them, and they'll get the job done. And, this is a great idea. If you plan on going on a vacation, why not surprise the wife? Like
So
Prattville
smart.
Carpet,
Yeah.
they're so trustworthy. You have them with just a spare key. They'll get in there, get the resurface job done, put everything back in order. It's a great way to surprise the one you love. So get that number, 285-8117. And when you call 285-8117, be sure to tell those fine folks there at Prattville Carpet that Joey and Eddie from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. Now, I think I could... with a straight face, describe myself as a Bitcoin bull. It's pretty awesome seeing this run up in Bitcoin. But, there's certain folks I would recommend, like find old videos of Andreas Antonopoulos. That guy called it all the way back in 2015, 2016. A brilliant character. And I'm sure he's, if not a multi-millionaire, maybe even a billionaire at this point. Like that guy was early to the party and knew what he was talking about. But another one who's more recent, who is a billionaire, who's put his money where his mouth is this guy, the CEO of MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really been saying this is not too late to jump into Bitcoin. Maybe just own 1/10 of a Bitcoin and sit on it for 10 years is his idea, even if you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah, I just put in X amount of dollars towards, I have no idea how much Bitcoin I actually own.
Right.
I just did the dollar-wise, but I've seen it increase dramatically here lately.
Right, and don't think of it as like, oh, I'm going to turn around a big profit in a year. No,
You keep telling me that, Joey. But
think of it in a 5-10 year window. Think of it as a
I
long-term
got profit
investment.
now, Joey. I got profit now.
Like, are you this dumb?
I got profit now. I should reinvest, shouldn't I?
Well,
you should give me some of that Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I
Give it
actually
to
bought
Craig.
it. I bought it for my grandkids, you pigs. Don't be such pigs.
I
Try to
don't-
take what belongs to my grandkids. Jeez.
Excuse me.
Oink, oink,
But I didn't expect this guy to be a Bitcoin bull.
Larry Fink?
Larry Fink
Really?
of BlackRock. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm scared. Selling it all now.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly.
So let's listen in.
I'm very bullish on the long-term viability of Bitcoin.
I was going to say, did that surprise you?
That surprised me how much that's gone up. I mean, look at it. It is. We're creating now a market that has more liquidity, more transparency, and I'm pleasantly surprised, and I would never have predicted it before we filed it, that we were going to see this type of retail demand.
So you thought you'd do good, but not this good.
I thought, yes. Yes,
Well,
definitely.
IBIT is your ETF
Yes.
over at iShares.
Yes.
it's about to overtake Grayscale, which was in the business certainly a lot longer. You look at the gains since January 11th when it first came about.
Yes.
Have you ever seen this much inflow this quickly into?
IBIT is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs.
I see.
And it makes you wonder, now that institutional players are dumping money in quick, you're seeing also folks getting ready for what they call the halving or the halving, where essentially the reward to Bitcoin miners is going to be cut in half. So it means the scarcity of Bitcoin goes up even more, the supply side restriction there. And I just have a feeling this is I am convinced by the arguments people like Michael Saylor and Andreas Antonopoulos make. I'll put it that way. I'm not telling anybody what to do. You need to do your own homework. But I find their point of view very convincing. And if you want to get into the weeds of, this is another thing Ron Paul was amazing about, into Austrian economics. We've been dominated by the monetarists, whether you talk, Milton Friedman style, he believes in free markets, but he still believed in like a Federal Reserve and a certain role of the government. He almost looked at the economy like a science equation. But then you've had the Keynesians, of course. Now you're getting these modern monetary theorists, and what you find is a lot of the monetarist economic theory sort of plays into this idea that you need a central authority with a lot of power to manage a macro economy, whereas the Austrian school has a different perspective. And they're the ones who have been saying for a long time, we are creating a ticking time bomb when it comes to our money. And I think that could help inform you to make certain decisions. I'd always recommend FEE.org is great, Foundation for Economic Education, or Mises.org, MISES, has a lot of not just current day articles, but historic documents, books, some of the classics in that economic space if you ever do want to study up. Not to give you homework on an Easter weekend, but
go ahead. Homework is good.
Right. But I really recommend it to folks who are in the financial world, who really are, they know what they're, a lot more what they're doing than I do. But just suggesting that if you're looking for a long-term store of value, I think Bitcoin might very well be the soundest, hardest money ever created, discovered by man. And on that note, we're pretty much out of time. Any parting shots, gentlemen?
If you want a good laugh, go to the comments, folks. Oh, it was on fire today.
Oh, no, they were being absurd. Talking about us sharing a spit cup.
I don't even dip.
Yeah, I don't either.
That sounds like...
You also don't let Joey touch you on the leg either.
Not publicly. Hello.
You wish. You wish. Well, stop looking at me like a snack.
I am going to say that I think that it is unfair that Joey was the one who decided to give up on the sunglasses early on in the show.
I went with it. It was getting my face hot, but I think we could have turned the air on.
I think
I can't see when I have them on.
You gave up. You quit.
Yeah,
Just say you quit. Just say you quit.
I did. I quit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, that explains a lot.
Well, the future's not as bright as you thought. Put it that way.
Okay, thank you, Nietzsche.
I might as well learn welding next. So
that would be fun.
We're going to get out of here. Again, it's a replay for Happy Hour with Greg Budell. So appreciate all the love on the Twitter X platform and on YouTube. But y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour is next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's